Chapter 1856. Sister Chiang. What's so urgent that you accidentally fell into the ditch? It just rained and the road is slippery. Why didn't you slow down? Are you hurt? Tang Bai asked nervously as she helped Tang Chong up. Tang Chong, Tang Indo's only daughter, was Tang Tanghua and Tang Bai's cousin. She had a sense of superiority and looked down on all the young girls in the village. Tang Indo was a peddler and his family was the richest in the village. Most of the things he sold were clothes and jewelry. He doted on his daughter very much. Tang Chong was the flower fairy in the eyes of the girls in the village since she was young. She wore the most beautiful clothes and the most colorful jewelry. She was envied by many. She didn't need to work and her family was rich. Her life was like the life of a rich girl in the city. Tang Chong didn't want to be friends with the girls in the village, but she needed them to chase after her. So every time she went out with Tang Indo and returned to the village, she would give the girls in the village some jewelry that the people in the city and she thought were cheap. Even if she thought they were cheap, they were good things in the eyes of the girls in the village. Therefore, she was popular and no one cared about who she looked down on. It didn't make sense to say bad things behind someone's back after receiving benefits from them. Tang Bai asked with concern. According to Tang's understanding of Tang Bai's character, she would definitely be angry at Tang Bai. After another round of scolding, she told Tang Bai how expensive her dress was and how all the jewelry she was wearing was dirted. Anyway, if she couldn't walk steadily and fell into the ditch, she would push the blame to Tang Bai. In Tang Chong's mind, if Tang Bai and Tanghua didn't move away, she wouldn't have fallen. Even if they didn't move away, she wouldn't be in such a sorry state. But out of Tanghua's expectation, Tang Chong just shook off the mud on her body and said to Tang Bai, "Thank you, Bai. I'm fine." Tanghua? System? What's going on? Tang Chong would say thank you to someone? Her beautiful dress was dirty and her jewelry was broken. She didn't get angry. Host, what do you think? What do you think? System, according to my analysis of Tang Chong, she has been spoiled since she was young and is also a green tea. Now that there were no changes in the family, it was impossible for her personality to change. Tang Indo only thought about earning money every day and only had money in his eyes. He would definitely not think of hiring someone to teach Tang Chong etiquette. Therefore, according to her character, it was impossible for her to say thank you to others. If she was reborn, she wouldn't be able to hide things. She would definitely make it more obvious and eliminate the possibility of being reborn. Then all that was left was to be seen through. If he did, the world would be very lively. 2 transmigrators and 1 reincarnated. But there was no need to compete at all. The boss standing at the top would definitely be his great host. Sister Chiang, you're covered in mud. Go back and change your clothes first. Tang Bai said. Tang Chong quickly shook her head and let go of Tang Bai's hand. I still have some urgent matters to attend to. I'll change my clothes when I get back. After saying that, he didn't wait for Tang Bai to say anything and quickly ran out of the village. The direction he ran in seemed to be towards the city. This village was not far from the city. If one walked at a moderate pace, it would take less than an hour to go back and forth. If he ran a little faster, it would only take him about 15 minutes to go back and forth. Sister Chiang is a little strange today. Want to chat with more like-minded people. Quickly transmigrate, calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1857. Having experienced rebirth, Tang Bai was very sensitive. She was prepared to be scolded by Tang Chong. Speaking of which, Tang Chong was not likable and a little selfish, but there was no deep hatred between them. After experiencing everything in her previous life, she did not care about these trivial matters. There was no one in the world more hateful than Su Machin. She even thanked me. When did she become so polite? Tang Bai was just curious about this. After all, she was reborn, so she had to figure out Tang Chong's problem secretly. Any uncertain factors could expose her identity as a reincarnated person. If there was really something wrong with Tang Chong, she had to be more careful and not let the cat out of the bag. Tanghua smiled and said without any doubt, she probably grew up and became more sensible. Tang Bai sighed when she saw that Tanghua did not doubt her at all. How could her sister know that there was such a thing as rebirth in the world? It was normal that she could not guess this. It was better not to let her sister worry about this kind of thing. She would secretly observe what Tang Chong was doing another day. Before Tang Jindo became the head of the village, he had taken the county examination. Although he did not pass, he still had some knowledge. Books in this era were precious, and the books at home were well preserved. He treated his children equally and taught them to read when they were young. Therefore, Tang Jindo's children were more outstanding than their peers in the village. Although his son was not strong and tall, he still looked somewhat scholarly. If his daughter changed into silk and satin, she would be no different from a rich girl in the city. However, recently the villagers thought that the family Tang's youngest daughter might grow up to be ugly. She was getting darker and darker than all the girls in the village. She could even be called a black girl. Tang Bai was very satisfied with this situation. She wanted to be ordinary and unobtrusive. After Tangwa came back, she sat in front of the table and prepared to draw a few patterns. Although Tang Jindo did not let the two sisters do any work at home, the girls in this ancient era, who had some means, would save for their dowry before they got married. It was common to make some embroidered handkerchiefs and tie some knots to sell in the city. In the family Tang, the two sisters naturally saved up the money they earned from doing these things. No one could ask them for money. Sister, I've also thought of a few tricks. I'll draw them for you to see later. What do you think? Tang Bai looked at Tangwa drawing and her heart moved. Now she could help her sister do some things. When she followed Su Machin, she had learned a lot of skills. She had learned all these skills seriously. It would be a waste if she didn't use them. It was for the good of her family, so there was nothing wrong with it. Sure, Abai. You sit over there and draw. Tang Bai thought that she could help Tangwa, so she was very happy. She took a pen and began to draw. In one breath, she drew dozens. They were all pretty good flowers that she had seen before. She had made some slight changes to make them look good. However, no one could recognize the original flowers. Anyway, it was fine as long as they looked good. After she finished drawing, she sat at the side and began to play the knots again. The knots she made were also slightly changed and looked very beautiful. Her mind was working fast. She did not know what else she could do to help her family become rich. Tangwa was also thinking that the family did not lack food or clothes, but they did not have enough money to spend. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people. Quickly change into a female supporting role and calm down. Look, talk about life and find a confidant. Chapter 1858. Host, what are you thinking so deeply about? I'm thinking about what I can do to earn more money. I checked my savings before. Do you know how much I have? 100 taels? The system asked uncertainly. After all, in TV dramas, people often carried dozens of taels of silver with them. 100 taels was too much, right? Tangwa said, a square embroidered handkerchief with complicated patterns, good appearance, and good embroidery can be sold for 300 to 500 copper coins. But this kind of embroidered handkerchief, from the pattern to the finished product, takes 10 days. It's time-consuming and laborious, and it's impossible to sit here and embroider day and night every day. According to the progress of the original body, it's not bad to be able to embroider one handkerchief of this level in a month. An ordinary embroidered handkerchief can be sold for 20 to 100 copper coins. It takes 1 to 3 days to make these simple ones, and it's impossible to do this every day. Luazi would be even cheaper. I counted before, the money I saved is about 23 taels, which is equivalent to 23,000 copper coins. Roughly converted to modern RMB, it's less than 10,000 yuan. Is it a lot? The main thing is that the ancient silver is not pure, and there are too many impurities. Of course, the price is not like this. In fact, it's not a small amount. 1 tael can buy 100 caddies of grain, which is enough for your family to eat for a few months. The original body also likes to be beautiful. She was willing to buy small dresses and hair clips for herself. It's really hard for her to save 23 taels. This money is really hard to earn. The system said weakly, Host, there are many finished products in the system space, but I've never seen someone like you. Sitting on an item that can rival a country, but still shouting that it's hard to earn money. I'm now a village girl. With so many eyes, won't people think I'm a monster? Unless I don't want to live a peaceful life and occupy a mountain. The system was good. It could press Su Machin to the ground and beat him. He didn't like that scum. but I want to quietly be an ordinary village girl who can buy small dresses as she wants. Wearing this kind of ordinary cloth is not so comfortable. If I can let myself live a good life, it's better to live a good life. If it's silk, it should be much more comfortable. The system can buy small dresses as she wants. This condition is not ordinary. Silk and satin? This was something that only the daughters of rich families and officials could wear. They might not even have two pieces. Some silks and satins were not to be worn casually. Commoners were not qualified to wear them. However, he believed that if the host wanted to wear it, she would definitely be able to. Host, I have a suggestion. Tang's interest was piqued. What suggestion? Raise a few more cows. You earn the money and they do the work. Tangwa said, Tongzi has become bad. I wonder who he learned this from. The host's eldest brother was an excellent carpenter. The second brother was good at building houses, but it was difficult for him to become rich. Third brother was currently in the academy. Third brother was doing well in his studies and was about to take the Shotsai examination. According to my analysis, I will definitely be able to pass. At that time, I will have to spend more and more money. Books are really expensive. Host, you can raise a bunch of capable cows in our village. You don't have to worry about anything. Isn't that great? As the system spoke, it realized that Tangwa was silent. She seemed to have fallen into deep thought. She must be thinking about the problem of raising cows. Tangwa's seat had a window. After all, this seat had good lighting and was more suitable for embroidery. The wall outside the courtyard was only half the height of a person. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, quickly change into a female supporting character. Calm down. Look, chat about life. Find a confidant. Just like in the novel, he's very vigilant. No wonder he doesn't recognize anyone when he's ruthless. Although you are cruel to everyone, why are you so good to Tangbai? In the end, she wanted your life. She only has hatred for you. Why don't you like someone else? Tang Chang's mumbling was actually a little unclear, but the system could hear it clearly. I didn't think that I would transmigrate to this world. Tangbai couldn't kill you, so she killed herself in front of you, causing your hair to turn white overnight. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, quickly transmigrate, calm down, look, talk about life, find a confidant. Chapter 1860. You've been unable to recover from this setback and have been thinking about her your whole life. You've been so crazy, it really makes one's heart ache. I'm the one who picked you up this time. I'll definitely make you understand what happiness is, what love is. Your ruthlessness was all forced by those people. I'll face it with you. Tang Chong was very confident. She had read the book no less than 10 times. Starting from the middle, she felt more and more sorry for Su Machin. Especially after Tang Bai committed suicide, Su Machin's hair turned white overnight. He seemed to have lost all hope and was no longer the high-spirited person. He was crazy for half his life and died depressed. She thought that Su Machin had always been compensating Tang Bai and later apologized to her. As long as he didn't die, Tang Bai could stab him with a knife or poison him. It could be seen that Su Machin really loved Tang Bai. She was a middle school student who was crazily addicted to sadomasochism. She only had one hobby, reading. She didn't like sweet novels. She liked this kind of sadomasochism. No matter how sadistic it was, her heart would always ache for the male lead. She thought that the female lead in sadomasochism was more pretentious. They loved each other so deeply in the beginning. Later, when the male lead fell in love with them, they were so pretentious. They hurt the male lead again and again and said that their hearts hurt. They were really like green tea. They didn't have any ability. Everything was given to them by the male lead. If they had the guts, they wouldn't have been entangled with the male lead in the beginning. Su Machin in this book was her male idol. Now that her male idol was protected by her, whatever Tang Bai, scrammed to the side. No one could hurt her male idol. Host, the person who transmigrated into Tang Chong's body should be a crazy fan of this book. You don't know, but after Su Machin fainted, the way she looked at Su Machin was as if she wanted to eat him alive and couldn't wait to swallow him whole. Her tone was also rather childish. She's probably a young soul. She was obsessed with scum like Su Machin. I think it's because the other party's world has less homework. So she's a fan. It's not strange. No matter what character it is, there will always be one or two fans who are crazy and irrational. It's similar to those who don't care about their lives. No matter what the idol does, it's always right. If you don't like idols, then you're blind. No one can compare. Idols are all pure tourmaline, clean and bright, without any impurities. No matter how high-grade the natural tourmaline is, there will always be impurities. If there are no impurities, it's most likely a fake made of glass. Similarly, everyone had their flaws. It was impossible to be perfect in every aspect. One had to be rational when it came to love something. Being too crazy would affect one's happiness. Then what about the host? That little girl was really infatuated with Sumachin. She would probably die for him without any complaints. Children these days were really a headache. If Abai knew that Suemo-chan was saved by Tangbai, she would definitely try to persuade her. As for me, I'll just be a peasant and ensure the safety of this family. Then, I'll think of a way to earn some money. That's enough. The system had already predicted that the host would not care about such people who sought their own deaths. In her words, she was not her mother. She should be responsible for her own actions. If the person was a good person and made the host like, admire, and have a good impression of him, she wouldn't mind helping him. He realized that his host really liked to help people. She was the kind of person who was not hypocritical, not casual and rational. She always said that these people were the only rare species left in the world. She had the bloodline of the giant panda and must be protected well. He was really a contradictory person. Sometimes he was as warm as the sun. Sometimes he was as cold as a 1,000-year-old ice cube. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, quickly become a supporting female lead and calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1861. Tangua was still thinking about what kind of project to develop in the village that could make the whole village work for her while she sat on the side and counted the money. Knowing that Tang Chong was a fan who transmigrated into the book, she didn't pay much attention to it. Anyway, with her around, Tang Jindo's family wouldn't be in any danger. As for Tang Indo's family, Tang Chong would probably think of a way to make Su Machin silence them. She didn't expect Tang Chong's method to be so rough. She wanted to expose Su Machin in front of the entire village and let everyone know that she had saved a person. Tangua didn't expect. Su Machin didn't expect it either. Tangbai didn't expect it. Su Machin definitely didn't dare to exterminate the village. There were hundreds of people in the village, and it was close to the city. The slightest leak could attract the attention of people with ulterior motives. When the time came, the capital would send experts to catch him. Not only would he be caught, he wouldn't be able to carry out his plan. In the end, Su Machin chose to change his name to Chinamo and pretended to be a businessman. He was robbed and finally escaped into the village. Coincidentally, he was picked up by the kind Tang Chong and brought home to recuperate. The villagers didn't dare to say anything on the surface, but behind their backs, there was a lot of discussion. Tang Chong was an unmarried virgin. It was said that she picked up a man of unknown identity and raised him in her courtyard. A man and a woman alone in the same room was damaging to her reputation. Even in modern times, no matter if it was a man or a woman, if people found out that they brought someone of the opposite sex to live in their house, they would think that this person was more flirtatious and would talk about it. What's more, this was a more conservative, ancient society. It was a good thing that this was an era where people were more open. The villagers would only talk about it and wouldn't do anything drastic. But the people who originally liked Tang Chong no longer considered her, who knew if Tang Chong would cheat on their son at any time. After Tangbai found out that Su Machin was picked up by Tang Chong, she wanted to remind Tang Chong that Su Machin wasn't a good person. But she couldn't expose her identity, and Tang Chong also looked very strange. So she could only sit at the door every day and look at the door of Tang Chong's house with worry and worry. She was afraid of Su Machin. What if he wanted to exterminate the whole village? Although this was a possibility, he was still afraid. Tangwa wandered around slowly, thinking about what to do. Tangbai noticed it and asked, "Sis, you've been deep in thought for the past few days. Is there something on your mind?" "Well, I'm thinking about how to get rich." Tangwa turned around and said very seriously. Tangbai was a little surprised. So her sister was still dreaming of getting rich? But this was really difficult. She knew a lot of things, but for safety reasons, she didn't dare to casually take them out. These things that she knew had no origin. She couldn't just learn them out of thin air. She would definitely be suspected. Sister, do you think that our family is too poor? Could the village head's family be considered poor? Because of Tang Jindo and Tang Indo in this village, as long as they didn't slack off, they would definitely be able to eat their fill. I'm poor. I've saved up so much money for so many years, but I can't even afford a set of gold head ornaments or a beautiful silk dress, Tangwa said faintly. The fabric of this era was really rough. Silk was the most comfortable to wear and clung to the skin. System, the host's big cutie, quickly come out and earn money to buy dresses and jewelry for your wife. The host is so poor that she's going crazy. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, quickly change into a female supporting lead and calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1862. He was used to a life of luxury. Now that he had suddenly become poor, it was really not a good feeling. After hearing Tangwa's words, Tangbai also felt that their family was too poor. She had seen the world. After leaving with Su Machin, she had been wearing silk and satin. After being reborn, those things were just passing clouds to her. She did not care. But if her sister wanted them, she had to find a way to save money to buy them for her. In her previous life, her sister had suffered so much because of her. In order to learn martial arts, she was covered in scars. Her face was covered in scars, and she always wore coarse black clothes. Indeed, she did not have a good life. If her sister wanted gold head ornaments, she would buy them. If her sister wanted satin skirts, she would buy them. But where would the money come from? Tangbai felt that she was useless. She could not even fulfill her sister's small request. She was so anxious that her eyes turned red. Abai, what's wrong? Tangwa walked in front of Tangbai. Did you suddenly feel that our family is too poor? Are you crying because of sadness? The system laughed. Was the host trying to kill it with laughter so that it could destroy its program? Tangbai, who was originally very sad, could not help but laugh. Other than the system and Tangbai's laughter, Tangwa also heard someone else's laughter. She turned around and saw a young man standing at the entrance of the luxuriously built house. He was wearing a moon-white satin robe and a jade crown. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back and a smile on his lips. The low laughter was from him. Ninth young master, what are you laughing at? When Tangwa saw the young man, her smile deepened. She asked, what's so funny? Miss Guo, you must have seen wrongly. Gu Juicy kept his smile and his handsome face became serious. I just heard that Miss Guo wants to become rich. Have you thought of a way? I've thought of something, but I'm still thinking about it. After all, I want to become rich. If I want to do it, I want to do it big. If it's too small, I won't be rich. Gu Juicy asked curiously, then what is it? Tangwa glanced at him and said with a smile, Ninth young master, is it appropriate for you to ask so directly about this kind of idea that can make you rich? I don't lack money, so I won't steal Miss Guo'er's business. Besides, we've been neighbors for so many years, and the village chief has taken good care of me, so I still have to respect this bit of morality. Miss Guo'er, if you tell me, I can help you come up with a plan. Ninth young master, you look really confident when you speak. If it weren't for the curiosity in your eyes, I would have believed you. Gu Juicy was speechless. He really wanted to help this interesting young lady. When he heard her say that she was too poor to buy gold head ornaments and silk dresses, he thought it was very interesting. Tangbai felt even more that she owed her sister. If it wasn't for her, perhaps her sister could have really become rich. Sister had always loved to be beautiful. She liked all kinds of beautiful jewelry, beautiful dresses, rouge, face powder, and so on. Gu Juicy blinked her beautiful eyes and said with a serious expression, Miss Guo'er, I'm not lying to you. What kind of guarantee do you have? The system was able to make the host's mood very good just by meeting her, and even said so much. It couldn't help but tease her. Then this person must be waiting obediently for the host to pamper her. There was no way she could run away. The system sighed. The host was really teasing people every time. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, quickly change into a female supporting character. Calm down. Look, chat about life. Find a confidant. She quickly walked in front of Tang Gua and shoved something into her hand with a little force. Then, he turned around and entered the house, which made Tang Gua a little confused. When she saw the item in her hand, she quietly said to the system, "Tongzi is really angry this time. Oh ho, host, didn't I say that you're always teasing me? Who doesn't have a little temper? This time, he must have reincarnated well. Look, every brick and tile of this house is not ordinary." It could be seen that the other party had been pampered since young, so it was normal for him to have a bit of a temper. "Sis, what does ninth young master mean by this?" Tang Bai looked at the huge stack of banknotes in Tang Gua's hand. It was so thick that it was worth at least a few thousand taels. Even if she was reborn, she did not know much about Guju Si in her previous life. She could only feel that he was mysterious and powerful. Now, he seemed to be angry. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, quickly change into a female supporting character and calm down. Look, chat about life and find a confidant. Chapter 1864. Would the other party bear a grudge against her? Sister, is ninth young master angry? Tang Gua glanced at the banknotes in her hand and nodded. He is angry. Then what should we do? Tang Bai was really worried to death. Seeing Tang Gua's calm appearance, she finally understood why her elder sister was able to endure so much hardship in her previous life. She even danced with a knife and played with monsters. After suffering so many injuries, she still didn't give up on revenge. Even she, who had been reborn, panicked when faced with such a situation. Yet, her sister was still indifferent. Sister was indeed her sister. Even though she had been reborn, she was still so timid and weak. Her rebirth only made her feel lucky. It did not make her more courageous. In fact, it made her even more timid. It's okay. I'll make some delicious food for ninth young master another day. He is a magnanimous person. He will forget about this matter soon. Was this enough? Was he so easy to coax? Tang Bai silently asked. This young master of a large family was not a fool. How could he be coaxed with just a meal? If one meal was not enough for Tang Gua, 2 meals would be enough. If she ate a few more meals, she would be able to coax him. Actually, the system only needed to say a few nice words to praise that fellow. Tang Bai looked at the banknotes and did not feel much. Then what about these banknotes? It was such a large sum. She could not possibly take it away. She looked at Tang Gua eagerly. She wanted to say something, but did not know what to say. She was really afraid that her sister would use the banknotes to buy silk, satin, and gold and silver bracelets. If she spent it, she would not be able to pay it back in such a short time. Sister, could you give her a little more time? A few thousand taels was really too much. She was not of marriageable age yet. She was still a young lady. At this moment, the door of the house was opened. A young man dressed in green walked in front of Tang Gua. His face was expressionless, and the words he spoke were cold and indifferent, as if he was an emotionless puppet. Master said that the banknotes are temporarily in Miss Guo'er's hands. He also asked Miss Guo'er if you believe that young master is not a businessman. Tang Gua hurriedly said, "Of course I do." As she spoke, she handed the banknote to the green-clothed youth. "Take this banknote back and let the ninth young master keep it." I don't doubt him. He was just teasing her. He didn't expect her to be so stingy. All right, I'll coax her later. The young man in green didn't take the banknotes. Instead, he pushed them away and said coldly, "Master said to let Miss Guo'er keep them. Even I believe him. It's not safe to leave it with me. I'll be robbed. If it's gone, I won't be able to afford it." The young man in green didn't even look at Tang Gua as he repeated the same sentence. Master said to let Miss Guo'er keep it. He didn't say that I can take it back. One must know how to be flexible. As a subordinate, I only need to listen to the master's orders. If I don't obey the master's orders, I'll be kicked out. The young man's face was serious. This time, he looked at Tang Gua seriously and said, "As a subordinate, I only need to listen to the master's orders. Miss Guo'er, please don't cause me to be chased away by master. I don't want to leave this place." You did it secretly. Master is omnipotent. Even if he isn't omnipotent, I can't do it secretly. Tang Bai was a blockhead. This blockhead was still the same as when she came. But she was also worried about that stack of banknotes. If Miss Gua has nothing else, I'll go in first. I want to chat with more like-minded people. Hurry up and change into a female supporting character. Calm down. Look, chat about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1865. Big sis, what should we do? Tang Bai grabbed Tangwa's wrist. Let's hide it first. If someone sees it, who knows how much trouble it will cause. When she said this, she saw that Tangwa had already hidden the banknotes in her sleeves. She let out a sigh of relief. Big sis, you said before that we'll give ninth young master some food. Will he really not be angry anymore? He shouldn't be angry anymore. He's such a good-looking person, and he can get so much banknotes just by casually spending money. He's not a petty person. Then big sis, why did you say that ninth young master is a bad person? Although I haven't interacted much with him, he really doesn't seem like a bad person. I'm just joking. It's rare to see such a good-looking young master in the village, so I couldn't help but say a few more words. Tangwa didn't care about anything and said in a loud voice. Tangbai was so scared that she quickly shushed her. Big sis, ninth young master is good-looking and he's only a little older than you. But his background is mysterious. Big sis, you mustn't be fooled by his appearance. After what happened last time, Tangbai was afraid of this kind of rich young master. Although she didn't want to be like Su Machin, people of noble status would always be in the middle of a whirlpool. They were only the daughters of the small village head. Once they were involved, they wouldn't have a good ending. Big sis, don't be fooled by some people's dignified appearances. In reality, they're all black inside. They might not even recognize their own family and are cruel and unscrupulous. Tangwa lightly glanced at Tangbai. Aren't you afraid that the ninth young master will hear you hinting at him like this? He shouldn't be able to hear. However, Tangbai didn't know that at this moment, Gu Jusi was sitting at the top of the pavilion. Separated by a thin bamboo curtain, he held a teacup in one hand and stared at Tangwa. When he heard Tangwa say that he was good-looking and said those words just because she wanted to talk more with him, he felt inexplicably happy. Because of a little girl's loss of composure, he hurriedly stopped smiling. In the end, when he heard Tangbai's words, he couldn't smile at all. Her insides were all black. She didn't even recognize her own family. She had the heart of a wolf and lungs of a dog. There shouldn't be anything to talk about in the village recently, right? The village chief shouldn't let his daughter read this kind of book, right? The village chief's second daughter was probably going to grow up crooked. No wonder she was getting darker and darker recently. She must have been thinking too much. Master, the matter has been settled. Gu Jusi did not want to think about Tangbai's derogatory words. In her mind, she remembered that Tangwa had said that he was quite good-looking, which was why she talked to him more. When he heard the azure-robed young man's voice, he was still looking outside. Without turning his head, he said, Lin Yin, go and get the bronze mirror. Yes, master. Lin Yin didn't understand why his master wanted the bronze mirror in broad daylight. But since it was his master's order, he just had to follow it. Before long, a large bronze mirror was placed in front of Gu Jusi. He was carefully examining his own appearance. However, the bronze mirror was not very clear, so he could not see clearly. He suddenly remembered that many years ago, before he came here, he had packed a mirror from the western regions in his luggage. At that time, he felt that it was rare, so he took it from his second brother. After he came to Family Tang Village, he forgot about this matter. Lin Yin got a new job. He was to help his master get a very clear mirror from the western regions. If you want to chat with more like-minded people, quickly change into a female supporting character. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1866. When Tangwa returned to her house next door, she was indeed planning to make something to eat. She had made him angry, so she had to coax him. She had no idea that Gu Jusi was no longer angry. Because of her words, he was looking at himself in the mirror in a wonderful mood. The more he looked, the more handsome he felt. Tangwa did not intend to let others notice her abnormality. The original owner was a capable girl. She knew how to read, draw, needlework, and her culinary skills were not bad. If such a woman was placed in modern society, she would be an all-rounder. Therefore, she tried to recall some dishes that the original owner knew. In the end, she decided to make braised food. Of course, the braised food she was going to make would not be the same as the original owners. It would definitely taste better than the original owners. In this era, it was rare for every family in the family Tang village to be able to eat their fill. Not to mention that there was meat in every meal. That was impossible. According to the village head's income, eating meat was not a big problem. However, people who grew up in the village were more simple and thrifty. To them, eating meat for every meal was more luxurious. Although they could not eat meat for every meal, everyone could eat an egg every day. Third brother Tang Chongqing, who was in the academy, could eat 2 eggs every day. His family did not have any objections. Such a standard of living was much better than many people. As for making braised food, she definitely could not make chicken feet or duck feet. Not to mention whether they were sold. Even if they were, she could not make something that was a little ahead of the current era. This place was not far from the city, but it was already late. Those who sold meat were most likely packing up their stalls. In the summer, the butcher could not kill too many pigs. The meat would spoil if it was left out for too long. Meat that had been seasoned with salt could not be made. Making braised food. In the end, Tangwa looked at the baskets of eggs at home. Her family raised many chickens. They were all kept in a yard behind the house and laid many eggs every day. It was really good to make some braised eggs. If she made some vegetarian braised food, it would not be too greasy to eat. Finally, she remembered that the stream at the entrance of the village came from the back of the mountain. The back of the mountain was very shady and cool. The water came from there. Those who knew would understand that the water at the mouth of the spring was warm in winter and cold in summer. She took some more fruits and placed them at the mouth of the spring. By the time she finished making the braised food, the fruits were already cold. P.S. Book friends, I am the author Du Liao. I recommend a free book that supports downloading, listening to books, 0 advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Please follow the WeChat public account on the top right corner of WeChat. Add a friend, choose a public account, enter a book friend, quickly follow. While he was at it, he also made some vegetable porridge. In order to coax that guy, she had put in a lot of effort this time. The system looked at all of this silently. It was rare to see the host so patient, making these things to coax people. TSK. That guy had cursed him time and time again. Was this considered as working hard after all? As long as that fellow was obedient, the host would probably buy a street for him. What a blessing, and a little envy. He was a system, so he couldn't eat the delicious food cooked by the host, so he was a little jealous. After Tang Jindo failed the county-level examination, he learned the craft of carpentry. Later on, this craft was passed on to Tang Changsha. The reason why it was passed on to Tang Chongsheng was because his eldest son was more suitable for carpentry. As for the second son, Tang Chongchun, he was apprenticed to a master and learned the craft of building a house. Since it was building a house, there would definitely be carpenters who made furniture. Therefore, the 3 of them basically inherited the carpentry and building skills of this generation. They were still quite busy. They would be busy until the sky turned dark before they could come back. Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find confidence. Chapter 1867. If it weren't for the fact that there were only 2 girls in the family, Tanghua and Tangbai, they wouldn't have been so busy. They could have just found a place to stay in the city or slept in the accommodation assigned by the boss. Even if they came back, only one of them came back. Those who came back were mostly Tang Jindo. After all, he had another identity. He was the village chief of this village. If anything happened in the village, it was up to him to deal with it. He came back every day so he could rest assured. Most of the people in the family Tang village were more down to earth. It was also because they didn't starve and didn't suffer from the cold. Many young people in the village received all kinds of work under the leadership of Tang Jindo and his sons. Those who were more quick-witted, looked smarter, and knew how to read were recruited by Tang Indo. They obediently followed Tang Jindo and worked hard. In general, the people in the family Tang village lived a good life. On this day, When the sun gradually set, Tang Jindo carried a cloth bag and walked to the door of his house. He stood at the door and sniffed with his eyes closed. The fragrance coming from the courtyard made him open his eyes and walk faster. "Father, you're back?" "I'm back." Tang Jindo glanced around the courtyard. "Where's Guo?" "Sister went to send food to ninth young master." Tang Jindo nodded. Judging from the fragrance just now, there must be something delicious. He didn't think it was a big deal to send some to ninth young master next door. What delicious food did Guo make this time? Braised food? Tang Jindo was puzzled. Guo used to make these before. Why didn't it smell so good? Sister hasn't made it for a long time. I guess her cooking skills have improved. Father, sister also froze fruits and cooked vegetable porridge. It's perfect to eat with braised food. Tang Jindo didn't want to ask so much. He just wanted to eat now. He also forgot that the few meat buns he bought in the city were for Tanghua and Tangbai. Meat buns were not as delicious as his daughter's braised food. What's this? Gu Jusi knew that Tanghua planned to make food to make him happy. He had been looking forward to what she would make the whole afternoon. If he wasn't afraid of being discovered, he would have secretly asked Lin Yan to take a look. He thought that if he didn't look and just sat here and waited, it wouldn't take long. When the time came, if the food she made tasted good, he would symbolically take 2 bites and say that he wasn't angry at all and that she was overthinking. Only a fool would admit that he was angry before. That was not befitting of his status. Getting angry with a little girl because of a few words, if it reached the ears of Big Brother and Second Brother, they would definitely ruthlessly laugh at him, making him unable to raise his head. Unexpectedly, only an hour had passed. A faintly discernible smell of braised meat drifted over from next door. It was getting thicker and thicker. The fragrance was something he had never smelled before. Even if he didn't eat it, he could imagine how delicious it would be if he were to eat it. Just like that, he lost his composure for the next few days. Why did he lose his composure? He did something that he had never done in his entire life. He swallowed his saliva. He kept swallowing and swallowing. He couldn't stop at all. The taste was too alluring. Finally, the food he had been looking forward to was here. He still had to tense up all over to prevent himself from showing too much eagerness. Otherwise, he would really have a share. However, the braised food in front of him was really too fragrant. He used a lot of patience to not touch his chopsticks directly. He even politely asked Tanghua what this was. "Young Master Jiu, this is a braised egg. I've cut it a little so that it's easier to eat." Tanghua first introduced the braised egg, then the other braised vegetables. Finally, she placed the plain porridge in front of him. Then, she placed a plate of frozen and cut fruits aside. Seeing that Gu Jusi didn't even blink, she smiled. "Try it and see if you like it." He didn't need to taste it. He liked it very much. "Thank you for your hospitality, Miss Guo. If you're busy, you can go ahead." He didn't know if he felt that this sentence was wrong, but he continued, "It's late. I'll ask Lin Yan to send you over. It's getting dark. If someone sees Miss Guo here, it will affect your reputation. System, wake up. This is your future wife. You'll definitely regret it in the future. Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, chat about life. Find a confidant." Chapter 1868. This time, Tanghua thought of teasing Gu Jusi again. She only said, "Ninth young master, I will go first. Thank you for being so considerate. If the sky had really turned dark and people knew that I was here, I don't know what would have happened in the village. I don't care about my reputation, but a noble person like the ninth young master would not be slandered so easily." The system's host was laughing so hard. What a pity woman. Would the system die if it did not hold a grudge? Gu Jusi was mesmerized by the fragrance of the braised food. Although he felt that Tanghua's words sounded a little strange, he tried his best to control himself. He was trying his best to control himself. He sat upright in his seat and replied without looking up, "Okay, I'll ask Lin Yan to send you to the door." "Thank you, ninth young master." When Tanghua turned around, Gu Jusi quickly picked up a small piece of braised egg and put it into his mouth. He chewed it quickly and swallowed it. Tangwa suddenly turned around and looked at Gu Jusi with a smile. Her action scared Gu Jusi so much that he quickly shut his mouth. He held his chopsticks with a serious expression. He did not look anxious at all. He was really good at scaring people. Ninth young master, I forgot to tell you something. Tangwa walked back and took out a thick stack of banknotes from her sleeve. Even for someone of Gu Jusi's noble status, it was not a small amount of money to carry around with him. Ninth young master, are you still angry with me? The braised egg was really delicious. It was different from the ones he had eaten before. Even the best chef at Second Brother's place could not make something like this. Delicious. It was really delicious. Gu Jusi smiled when he remembered that Tangwa was still waiting for his reply. He was born with red lips and white teeth. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. When he smiled, he was really good-looking. When was I angry with you? You are a woman and I am a man. I should be polite. How could I be angry with you? Tangwa nodded as if she was relieved. She placed the banknotes on the table and asked, Then why did ninth young master stuff the banknotes into my hands? Gu Jusi was stunned for a moment. That's right. If he wasn't angry, why would he take out banknotes to prove that he was rich and that he couldn't steal her business? However, he absolutely could not admit that he was angry in front of Tangwa. Wouldn't that make him seem too petty? Ninth young master? Gu Jusi returned to his senses and looked seriously at Tangwa. He picked up the banknotes and stuffed them back into her hands. This young master didn't give you the banknotes to prove whether or not I have money. P.S. Book friends, I am the author Du Liao. I recommend a free book that supports downloading, listening to books, zero advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Please follow the WeChat public account on the top right corner of WeChat. Add a friend, choose a public account, enter a book friend, quickly follow. Then why? Gu Jusi had already thought of an excuse. His lips curled into a smile. Didn't you say that you wanted to get rich? You even thought of a way. From your words, this young master can tell that you are ambitious and want to do something big. However, this business isn't something that can be done just because you want to. Especially since your request doesn't seem to be low. Do you know that selling silk, satin, gold, and silver jewelry is not a small wish? You have to at least become a small wealthy family to be able to do it. Then ninth young master is giving me banknotes? Gu Jusi's smile deepened. Of course to join. You don't have much money on hand, do you? You can't do a big business without money. The contents of this chapter are updated by hand. That's right. I worry about money every day. The system was coaxing her again. This bad habit couldn't be changed. Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1869. Although the village head's family is doing well and the villagers don't starve, no one can support you in your business, right? The more Gu Jusi spoke, the brighter her eyes became. She suddenly felt that this was a good idea. He had plenty of money. If he ran out, he would send Lin Yin back to ask his eldest brother and second brother for more. After all, he was the eldest brother and second brother didn't lack money. They might even be happy to spend it. Young Master Jiao, you've hit the nail on the head. The system understood. So the host didn't have to worry about money. She had already set her sights on Gu Jusi. She probably didn't think of returning the banknotes the moment she put them in her sleeve. It was no wonder that when he asked the great host to take some money from the system space to solve this urgent problem, she had rejected him. So she was pretending to be poor to give Gu Jusi a way out. When the two of them had a common interest, it would be much easier to make a move. This flirting skill was really amazing. Rabbits don't eat the grass near their burrows, but the host just stared at the grass near their burrows. Her taste didn't change at all. She only liked the cute type. So, these banknotes are for you to join the business. I had some urgent matters to attend to earlier, so I left in a hurry. Tangwa asked in a serious tone. What's so urgent? Why was Gu Jusi asking so much? He found the perfect excuse with great difficulty, but she still wanted to get to the bottom of it. Miss Guer, it's late. Then I'll take my leave first. Young Master Jia. Tangwa looked at the banknotes in her hand. There were a total of 10 banknotes here. Each banknote was worth 500 taels. She took one and stuffed the rest back into Gu Juxi's hand. 500 taels is enough for my business. If young Master Ju invests too much, I won't make any money. What do you mean you won't make any money? I'll pay, and you'll come up with ideas. Naturally, we'll split it half. If the ideas aren't bad, you'll definitely make a profit. What I mean is, 5,000 taels is too much. I don't need so much. 500 taels is enough. In this small place, 500 taels was really enough. Gu Juxi frowned slightly. 500 taels was enough to start a business? Thinking that this was just a small village, he came to a realization. He didn't force the issue and kept the rest of the items. After Tangwa left, he couldn't wait to eat the food. He felt Lin Yan's gaze and raised his head. Miss Gua gave this to me. You don't have a share today. You can leave first. Lin Yan, can't I even smell it? He didn't say that he wanted to eat it. His master was really stingy. When they got home, Tang Jindo naturally asked why Tangwa's braised food was so delicious today. She had said that she was just casually experimenting with it for a while. She didn't expect it to be so delicious, so she decided to try it when she was free today. Tang Jindo didn't ask much. He trusted his eldest daughter very much. However, he was worried about Tang Bai, who had a slightly weaker personality. Fortunately, he had his eldest daughter, so he didn't have to be distracted and went to work in the city during the day. The next day, Tangwa began to write down what she wanted to do. Ever since Tang Bai found out that Su Machin was taken care of by Tang Chong, she was absent-minded all day. Every time she saw Tang Chong supporting the pale and weak Su Machin out, her mind was filled with Su Machin's cruel appearance. She was so scared that her whole body turned cold. Abai, come in quickly. I have something for you to do. Quick female supporting character, calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Quick female supporting character, calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1870. Tangwa saw that Tang Bai wasn't in a good state and didn't let her continue, preparing to find something for her to do. Sis, is there anything you need me to do? Hearing that Tangwa wanted her to do something, Tang Bai was very happy. Now, whatever Tangwa wanted her to do, she probably couldn't refuse. Even if she was reborn, she found that she still couldn't help. Some of the things she knew, for the safety of the family, she didn't dare to take them out. So even if a useless person was reborn, they wouldn't be able to change anything, right? As for danger, she could only avoid it. Su Machin's luck had always been very good. Even if he wasn't saved by her, he was saved by Tang Chong. She was still hoping that he would die from a high fever, but now she was only left with a sense of loss and uneasiness. She was really afraid that Su Machin would bring danger to the village. She knew best how ruthless he was. The patterns you drew before were very beautiful. Now I want to give you a very important task. Tangwa pointed to the table. Draw more patterns, all kinds, as long as you think it's beautiful. Tang Bai didn't know what Tangwa wanted to do, but after hearing Tangwa's words, she nodded heavily. She was very good at drawing patterns. After being deceived by Su Machin in her previous life, the only person she could rely on was him. It was funny, but in order to take care of him, repay him, and please him, she really learned many skills. She was proficient in the four arts, and was also good at embroidery. She was praised as a virtuous and talented woman by countless people. This title was the shame of her previous life. Sis, I will make you satisfied. What she had learned was not to please Su Machin, but to please him. Instead, she should use these things to make her family and her family better and better. She had her own selfish motives. She didn't intend to draw the most beautiful pattern in her heart. She wanted to keep it, and when she could buy silk one day, she would personally make the most beautiful silk dress and embroider handkerchiefs for her sister. Tangwa saw that Tang Bai had calmed down and was drawing patterns with a smile on her face. She didn't know what she was thinking, but the fear and worry on her face was gone. This girl is really pitiful. Fortunately, she met the great host. The system was able to capture Tang Bai's emotional fluctuations. She could really be described as a bird startled by the twang of a bough, especially when she sat in the courtyard and secretly saw Tang Chong supporting Su Machin. Her bright eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of dust that couldn't be wiped away. Only when Tangwa asked her to do something would she smile, her face full of hope. It took 3 days for Tangwa to finish writing the plan. She had considered everything that could be considered. As for Tang Bai, she had no time to pay attention to Tang Chong because Tangwa was instructing her to draw patterns. Beside the table, there were already many patterns that had been drawn. P.S. Book friends, I am the author Du Liao. I recommend a free book that supports downloading, listening to books, 0 advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Please follow the WeChat public account on the top right corner of WeChat. Add a friend, choose a public account, enter a book friend, quickly follow. On this day, she saw Tangwa walking outside with a booklet. She hurriedly followed her. Elder sister, where are you going? I'm going to find young Master Jia. He wants to partner with me to do business. It's difficult to start a business, so I have to show him this plan. I'll go with you. Tangwa agreed. When Gu Jusi saw Tangwa's business plan, he was really surprised. Although he didn't do these things, he wasn't an ignorant person. With just one look, he knew that the feasibility was very high. Quick, female supporting character. Calm down, want to talk with more like-minded people. Quick, female supporting character. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find friends. Chapter 1871. It won't be easy to do it alone. Basically, there won't be any profit to be made in the early stages. I don't mind, but I'm afraid that the results won't be good and Miss Guo will be upset. I think it'll be a success, Tangwa said with a smile. Fine products are needed everywhere. Since it's a business, I don't intend to earn money from ordinary people. The speed of making money is really too slow. Seeing how confident Tangwa was, Gu Jusi did not try to persuade her. It was only 500 taels anyway. If she lost money, so be it. If she did not lose her confidence, she could just invest more. The banknotes were about to turn to dust with him. Finally, there was a place for them to go. Gu Jusi did not feel that there was anything wrong with this idea. Ever since he ate Tangwa's braised food, he had been thinking every day when Miss Guo would make some braised food for him. He had thought that the business Tangwa was talking about was making braised food. After all, the taste was really good. It was just that the speed of making money was really slow. They could not make a lot of money, but they could not make a lot of money. The village was only so big, and it was summer. There were not many people who were willing to eat braised food every day. If they followed her plan to only make fine products and sell the finished products to the rich, it would be easy for them to make money. Moreover, he could help to promote it. Thinking of this, Gu Jusi felt that this plan was 90% successful. The remaining 10% would depend on the quality of the finished products. There are mulberry trees in the village. Based on the growth of those mulberry trees, the geographical environment here is more suitable for planting mulberry trees. I think it's good to plant mulberry trees in the back of the mountain. I'll have to rely on my father to talk to the district magistrate about this. Tell him, it's just a barren mountain. There shouldn't be a problem. After all, she had to walk the right path. Of course, she had to build a good relationship with the district magistrate. It would be convenient for her to do anything in the future. If she did so much without asking for permission, all their efforts would be wasted with just a word from the government. Gu Jusi wanted to say that it was not so troublesome. If they really wanted this mountain, he had a way. After thinking about it for a while, he felt that it wasn't a good idea to do so. Wouldn't that make him seem high and mighty and look down on others? Moreover, he also wanted to see how far this girl could go. Subconsciously, he didn't want his eldest brother and second brother to know about his current situation. He didn't know what the situation was. Anyway, he didn't want his 2 brothers to know that he had joined a gang to do business with a young girl. Tang Jindo was not surprised to hear that Tangwa wanted to do business. He thought that Tangwa wanted to sell braised food. Even though it was a hot day, they could only make a few and sell them in the city. He didn't expect that Tangwa would throw him a booklet, which was densely filled with her plans for what she wanted to do next. It was very detailed in every aspect. Even he was a little excited. This time, Tang Bai also stretched her head and looked at the booklet. After reading it, the father and daughter looked at each other. When they looked at Tangwa again, It was as if they were looking at a pile of glittering gold. Tang Jindo smiled and stroked his beard. The more he looked at Tanghua, the more gratified he was. He didn't expect his children to be so capable. This plan was very thorough. If there were no mistakes, it would definitely succeed. The higher-ups had thought of everything. Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1872. Most importantly, with the addition of the ninth young master from next door, they were basically halfway to success. In the future, the sales of fine goods would not be a problem. Tang Bai's eyes were full of worship. Sister was indeed sister. Everything she did was amazing. Thinking of this, she felt extremely guilty. In her previous life, she had been blinded by Su Machin and mistakenly thought that Sister had misunderstood Su Machin. Originally, Sister could have successfully killed Su Machin several times. It was all her fault for appearing and stopping Sister. So, the person she hated the most was herself and not Su Machin. It turned out that no matter when, Sister would always be the most dazzling person. She couldn't do too much. She could only try her best to paint more patterns. When the opportunity came in the future, she could learn some of the things she had learned and expose what she knew. Tang Jindo only thought for a while before asking Tanghua again if she really wanted to do this. Tanghua said, "Father, your daughter wants to earn more money so that in the future, I can wear silk and satin as much as I want and buy jewelry. I don't want to marry into another family and leave my family. When your daughter becomes a millionaire in the future, I will find a good-looking and obedient husband." When Tang Jindo heard this, he was so shocked that he almost fell. Incredible. His eldest daughter was incredible. Other daughters wanted to live a good life. Who didn't want to marry into a good family and enjoy a life of luxury and wealth? But his daughter actually wanted to become a millionaire and find a good-looking and obedient husband? She also wanted to buy silk and satin and jewelry. It sounded a bit like a fantasy, but after looking at the plan, Tang Jindo thought that it was not impossible. His eldest daughter had been smart since she was young. She learned everything quickly and was smarter than his sons. Her temperament was right. When it was time to be soft, she would be soft. When it was not time to be soft, she was not willing to suffer the slightest loss. What she said was really believable. Tang Bai's face was also full of disbelief. So this was what Sister was thinking? No wonder she would find something to say when she saw the ninth young master next door was good-looking. If this was said by another woman, she would most likely think it was impossible. But this was what her sister said, so it would definitely work. Even if it didn't work, she would try her best to help her sister find a husband who was more good-looking and obedient than the ninth young master next door. Not everyone was worthy of a good woman like her sister. When the time came, she would have to choose carefully. After Tang Jindo recovered from his shock, he did not tease Tanghua. Tang Jindo was considered a knowledgeable person, so he was open-minded towards his children. P.S. Book friends, I am the author Du Liao. I recommend a free book that supports downloading, listening to books, zero advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Please follow the WeChat public account on the top right corner of WeChat. Add a friend, choose a public account, enter a book friend, quickly follow. It wasn't impossible for his daughter to become a millionaire. He agreed and went to the county magistrate the next day to ask about the mountain behind the village. To plant a large area of mulberry trees, one must obtain the permission of the county magistrate, pay Baoshan's fees, and sign a contract. Tanghua gave Tang Jindo 100 taels of silver. If there were no problems, he could sign the contract and come back. This matter went very smoothly. Tang Jindo rushed back on the same day and reported the good news. "Father, there is one more thing that I need you to help me with. After all, you have more prestige." Tang Jindo said, "What is it?" "Father, you have to help me advertise in the village. Your daughter is going to do a big business and needs to recruit people. At the beginning, we will plant mulberry trees and pay wages. Both men and women can come. Because there are a few mulberry trees in the village, we can raise some silkworms first. Female supporting character, calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Female supporting character, calm down. Look, talk about life. Find confidence. Chapter 1873. Of course, he had to help his daughter. Tang Jindo did not hesitate at all. On the same day, he informed everyone in the village that Tangwa would farm mulberry trees and raise silkworms. Everyone in the village thought that the village head's youngest daughter had gone astray and that his eldest daughter had gone crazy. However, the salary offered by Tangwa was quite tempting. They could not resist the temptation and came to Tangwa's door. Dozens of people came and Tangwa accepted them all. However, planting mulberry trees was still fast because the trees in the back of the mountain had been cut down long ago. It was less troublesome and they could plant the trees directly. According to Tangwa's method, the mulberry trees were planted in a few days. After that, Tangwa left a few women who knew how to raise silkworms and asked them to start raising silkworms according to her method. Of course, these silkworm babies were taken out by Tangwa herself. The technique of raising silkworms was also ready-made, and she had memorized it deep in her mind. With silkworm rearing, there would naturally be cloth weaving. The cloth made of silk was really satin, and it was very comfortable to wear. However, Tangwa could not wear the silk in the beginning. Instead, she made the cloth into a silk handkerchief. Next, it was the embroiderer's job. There were not many silk handkerchiefs and embroidery was not a job that anyone could do. Therefore, the embroidery was done by her and Tangbai. Both of their embroidery skills were very exquisite. For safety, Tangbai hid a little. Later, when she saw that Tangwa was so powerful, she also showed her real skills little by little. Even though she was so busy, Tangbai did not forget to go out and bask in the sun occasionally after the sun came out. She would tan as much as she could. The people in the village were busy. Tangwa and Tangbai were embroidering treasures this time. The silk handkerchief embroidered at the moment could be sold for 2 taels of silver in this small town. Silk. If it could be sold in the capital, if it was a flower that the young ladies liked, it could be sold for 10 taels, 20 taels, or even 50 taels. Of course, it would take more effort to make such treasures, and the price would naturally be higher. Thus, Tangwa looked at the women in the village who went out to work. She couldn't do this every day, right? Tang Chong was also shocked by what happened to Tangwa, because the change was too big. She couldn't help but come and take a look. After all, she was still afraid that there would be someone like her. She had to come over to confirm what was going on between Tangwa and Tangbai. Because of her appearance, things had changed. So, it was still unknown whether there was something abnormal between the two of them or whether it was the butterfly effect. When she saw the finished embroidery ring that Tangwa had put on the shelf, she couldn't help but exclaim when she saw the exquisite embroidery on it. This was the embroidery of the ancient people. She didn't dare to touch it. It would be such a pity if such a precious item was touched and dirted. If it was in modern times, it would be a cultural relic and would be protected. Therefore, she bent down and stretched her head down to look at the other side. When she looked at it, she was stunned. It was actually double-sided embroidery. Sure enough, Tangwa, the supporting female character, was really a very powerful person, just like what was written in the book. In the book, if Tangbai hadn't stopped Sumachin several times, Sumachin might have been killed by Tangwa. She could imagine that the other party was very good at holding needles. She must be very good at holding knives. It's so beautiful. If such an antique were to be auctioned in modern times, it would probably be sold for hundreds of thousands. Sister Guo'er, did you embroider this? Tangwa nodded.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. Sister Guo'er, can you sell me an embroidered handkerchief like this? Sister Guo'er, calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people. Sister Guo'er, calm down. Look, talk about life. Find confidence. Chapter 1874. Tangwa raised her eyebrows. It's okay, but it's a little expensive. I know. It must be expensive. The embroidery was so good. It must be a country bumpkin. It was double-sided embroidery. It must be worth a lot in modern times. She had never seen such a fine item in her father's hands. Her father had gotten a silk handkerchief before. It was said that he sold it to a lady from an official's family for 100 taels. She had seen that silk handkerchief before. It was not as smooth as the one in Tangua's hands. The pattern was exquisite and beautiful. It was so beautiful. She really wanted it. It was quite valuable to buy it as a collection. Her father was rich now. It was not a problem to spend some money to buy it. She was different from the original owner. Such a good item must be bought with money. She could not do things like stealing or robbing. Sister Guo, tell me, how much is it? I can pay 200 taels. Is that okay? 200 taels? Tanggua did not continue to speak, but Tang Chong was anxious. She knew that such a fine item must be priceless. 200 taels. In this era, not to mention those rich places, such as the capital city. Even in this village and the city outside, 200 taels was a big sum of money. It could be used to do many things. A family of 4, eating and drinking well for a year, would only spend about 10 taels of silver. So 200 taels was really a lot for ordinary people. But on this embroidered silk handkerchief, 200 taels was really nothing. According to the original owner's memory, if such a fine item was sold in the capital city, it might be sold for 500 taels if a lady from an official's family took a fancy to it. Tang Chong was afraid that at that time, Tanggua would ask the mysterious 9th young master to send this silk handkerchief to rich places and sell it to those ladies from official's family. At that time, she would not be able to buy it. If she could buy something she liked with money, she would definitely buy it. Before she transmigrated, she was born in a good family. She would not let go of what she liked. I know 200 taels is not enough. Sister Guo, I'll pay 500 taels. In fact, Tang Chong's heart was bleeding. The original owner had saved up a lot of money. After all, Tang Indo was a businessman. She followed Tang Indo around all day and earned some money. In addition, Tang Indo doted on his daughter and gave her quite a bit of money. Ever since he was young, he had saved up more than 300 taels. As for the remaining 100 taels, she intended to borrow it from her 2 brothers. In short, she must buy this embroidered handkerchief today. When Tang Chong said 200 taels, Tang Bai was already scared silly. Although the embroidered handkerchief that her elder sister embroidered was indeed incomparably exquisite, more beautiful and exquisite than anything she had seen in her previous life. Every stitch and thread was so perfect, and there was nothing wrong with either side. The different colors of the threads matched perfectly. P.S. Book friends, I am the author Du Liao. I recommend a free book that supports downloading, listening to books, 0 advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Please follow the WeChat public account on the top right corner of WeChat. Add a friend, choose a public account, enter a book friend, quickly follow. 500 taels of silver was nothing to the young ladies of the wealthy families of officials and housekeepers. But in this village, it was a huge amount. When Tang Chong wanted to pay 500 taels of silver, if she had not seen such a big scene, she would have screamed. She really could not understand, with Tang Chong's character, why would she spend 500 taels of silver to buy her elder sister's embroidered handkerchief? According to her understanding of Tang Chong, if she really liked it, she would be thick-skinned and directly ask her elder sister for it. Although in the end, she would not be able to get it from her elder sister. So, this Tang Chong's behavior was really strange. Quickly, where the supporting female lead, calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Quickly, where the supporting female lead, calm down. Look, chat about life, find a confidant. Chapter 1875. How could a greedy person who would shamelessly ask for good things spend 500 taels of silver on an embroidered handkerchief? According to her guess, Tang Chong did not have 500 taels of silver in total. This was simply crazy. Sister Guo, please sell me the embroidered handkerchief. I really like it. Tang Chong was actually afraid that her transmigration was just a mistake. One day, she would transmigrate back. Of course, if she could be with her Prince Charming forever, she could choose not to transmigrate back. But she was not sure if there would be any accidents along the way, or if she would transmigrate back after she died of old age. So, she would feel regretful if she could not buy this embroidered handkerchief. Can you really take out 500 taels of silver? Yes, I can. Sister Guo, give me some time. 1 hour. No, give me half an hour. I will definitely send the 500 taels of silver to you. Tang Chong was almost begging. Can you keep this embroidered handkerchief for me? All right, then I will give you half an hour. Tang Chong laughed out loud, said goodbye to Tang Gua, then turned around and ran outside. Not long after, the other party took a bag of money and came in front of Tang Gua. She poured the bag of silver, copper coins, and banknotes in front of Tang Gua. Sister Guo, there are 320 taels of silver here. You can count them first. I will go to my eldest brother and second brother and ask them to lend me some more. Father is not at home, so I can only borrow from my eldest brother and second brother. After Tang Chong finished speaking, she ran out in a hurry. Tang Bai only realized that Tang Chong was serious when she saw the pile of silver. She saw Tang was slowly counting the silver and could not help but ask, Sister, don't you think Sister Changqiang is very strange? She used to be. She was not like this before. In the past, whenever she liked something here, she wanted to take it away directly. Fortunately, Sister has a strong temper and always said that she did not dare to touch our things. However, she will tell Father about us later. Father is on Sister and me's side, so he won't speak up for her. He will only laugh and say that I'm older than Sister Changqiang and ask her to understand. Then, he will pretend to scold us. Second uncle was a businessman, and he was particular about making money in harmony. Of course, he wouldn't make a fuss over such a small matter. Instead, he would give us gifts with a smile. Speaking of which, every time Sister Changqiang came here, she didn't have a good time. This time, she actually spent so much money and didn't hesitate to borrow from her two cousins. Sister, what's wrong with Sister Changqiang? Tang Bai pinched her sleeves and pursed her lips. She had suspected that Tang Chong was like her, a reincarnator. After realizing this, he did not dare to show any signs of abnormality. Later, she found out that Tang Chong saved Su Machin. She seemed to like Su Machin very much, but she was like an innocent little girl. In the other party's eyes, there seemed to be no one but Su Machin. She could not guess the reason. Just now, she had a sudden inspiration and a shocking idea appeared in her mind. Could it be that the real Sister Changqiang had disappeared long ago, and the one controlling Sister Changqiang's body now was a wandering ghost? So, who was the other party? Why did she save Su Machin and was full of joy for Su Machin? The two people in front and behind, although their actions were carefree, they were different. Sister Changqiang only knew how to calculate, but she did not know poetry at all. Quick, we're the supporting female lead, calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Quick, we're the supporting female lead, calm down. Look, chat about life, find a confidant. Chapter 1876. But that day, she actually heard the voice of the other party reciting the poem. She even said a few lines that were very amazing. She also learned these in her previous life, but she knew that she could not write such a sentence. The poem was good, but it was very strange when it was matched with Tang Chong's performance, because she always felt that there was a deep meaning in those poems. If she wanted to understand, she had to combine some of the poet's background and living conditions to interpret it. Tang Chong's performance now did not seem like a person who could write that kind of poem. So, she felt that Tang Chong was very strange. Sister, do you know that Sister Changqiang can write poems? Tang Bai was willing to share everything in her heart with Tang Gua. She thought that her sister was really smart and capable. Look at this embroidered handkerchief. It could be sold for 500 taels of silver. It was really amazing. Tang Gua actually did not expect that Tang Chong would spend a lot of money to buy her embroidered handkerchief. In fact, when Tang Chong was helped out of the ditch by Tang Bai and said thank you to Tang Bai, it could be seen that this young soul was not a very bad person. Maybe it was just that in some aspects of cognition, she had not learned to distinguish correctly. In short, she did not understand white and black, right and wrong, good and bad. She wandered in the fantasy of beauty and had not been beaten by society. People who could buy it with money and say thank you to people who helped them would not snatch it. People who were thick-skinned and asked for it were not so annoying. As for how Tang Chong would develop, it was up to her. Sister? Tang Gua came back to her senses and asked, what poem? Sister, wait a moment. Let me recall. Not long after, Tang Bai recited, "When is the spring flower and autumn moon? How much do you know of the past? Last night, the east wind blew in the small building. My homeland is unbearable to look back on the bright moon. The carved railings and jade walls should still be there, but the vermilion color has changed. How much sorrow can a gentleman have, just like the spring water of a river flowing east?" When she heard the first sentence, Tangwa almost spat out. Wasn't this the most famous poem of Li Yu, a poet of the Tang dynasty in a small world? Li Yu was a poet and also an emperor. At the same time, he was the ruler of a fallen country. This poem was nothing more than Li Yu reminiscing about his homeland and sighing with emotion. She was curious as to when Tang Chong recited the poem. "Sis, don't you find it strange? The meaning of this poem sounds very strange. The past, the little building, the old country, the carved railings and jade building, and the beauty of the great empress. I always find it very strange when these words are connected. It seems to be implying something. Moreover, I subconsciously believe that the word homeland shouldn't exist in the poem. Fortunately, there aren't many people in the village who understand this. Otherwise, I'm afraid it would cause trouble." In fact, Tang Bai had already guessed the meaning of this poem. The person who wrote the poem was probably lamenting about his country that had already perished. Therefore, she became more and more worried about Tang Chong's true identity. She didn't know if Su Machin had heard this poem. With Su Machin's intelligence, she was afraid that he would figure it out. Who knew what he would suspect at that time? P.S. Book friends, I am the author Du Liao. I recommend a free book that supports downloading, listening to books, zero advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Please follow the top right corner of WeChat's official WeChat account. Add a friend. Choose a public account. Book friends, quickly follow. No matter what he suspected, if Su Machin heard it, he would definitely investigate Tang Chong's identity carefully. She hoped that it wouldn't bring danger to the village at that time. Tang Chong was anxious, but she couldn't say these things out loud. It is quite strange. Qiang likes to walk around with second uncle. Maybe she heard these poems somewhere? Quick, female supporting character, calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Hurry Chong, calm down. Look, talk about life, find a confidant. Chapter 1877. Sister, I'm just afraid that the poem will be misunderstood and bring danger to the people in the village. Tang Bai thought of a reason. The people in the village don't understand these things. Even if the ninth young master understands, he won't think anything of it. After all, the people in our village are all clean. They definitely don't have any ulterior motives. But didn't Sister Qiang pick up a strange man? If this poem is heard by the other party, who is not a simple person, won't it bring danger to our village? Tangwa saw that Tang Bai's face was pale and her eyes were full of worry. She knew that if she didn't do something, Tang Bai wouldn't be able to calm down for a few days. I have a way to get rid of the suspicion in the village. What is it? Tang Bai asked hopefully. She knew that her sister was the smartest and would definitely think of a good way to help the village take refuge. Tangwa said, "Another day when we have time, let's carve this poem on the rocks next to our village. Let's not only carve this poem, but also carve something else. Finally, bury these rocks. It's best to put some moss on them so that they can be passed off as genuine. If the authorities really investigate, we'll say that we've also seen the poem, but didn't know what it meant. We'll say that Qiang read it randomly because it sounded nice." Tang Bai's heart relaxed when she heard this. This way, they could get rid of the suspicion of the villagers. Okay. Tangwa smiled and continued to count the silver. She didn't expect that she would live a life of counting silver now. It was quite good. As for that method, it was just to appease Tang Bai. If Su Machin really heard the poem, coupled with Tang Chong's strange behavior, he would also be suspicious. He would only secretly investigate. If the people in the village didn't have any problems, they would naturally be fine. If there was a problem, it was possible to secretly execute them. But with her here, no one would be able to touch a hair of the people here. In less than half an hour, Tang Chong stuffed the rest of the silver to Tang Gua and asked in a low voice, "Sister Gua, Can I take this embroidered handkerchief away? Yes, it's yours. Tang Hua counted the silver and handed the embroidered handkerchief to Tang Chong with satisfaction. Tang Chong held it with a happy face. She was going to go home and get a box to put it in. This was the first precious embroidery that she had sold at a high price, and it was a double-sided embroidery. Tang Hua took another silk handkerchief and prepared to embroider another one. On this side, she planned to embroider even more complicated patterns. As for Tang Bai, her embroidery was relatively simple. After all, she couldn't become powerful all of a sudden. She was different from her sister. Her sister had been good at everything since elementary school, but she was slightly inferior. Is Miss Guo here? Not long after, Lin Yan's voice sounded from outside. Tang Hua stopped what she was doing and walked out, asking, "Yes, guard Lin? What's the matter?" The content of this chapter is updated by hand. Master ordered me to ask Miss Guo when she can finish embroidering the three-sided embroidered handkerchief. Lin Yan was expressionless. Next month, I will make a trip to the capital to deliver Miss Guo's handkerchief to the capital. Master said that this is an opportunity to spread Miss Guo's exquisite handkerchief to the capital. The fewer, the better. Only then will it be able to attract those noble housekeeper ladies. Go back and tell Ninth Young Master that there will definitely be one next month. Okay. Lin Yan didn't leave immediately. Instead, he hesitated and asked, "Miss Guo, may I ask if your family sells braised food?" "Why?" Lin Yan's lips trembled slightly. "I want to buy some food." It wasn't him at all. Hurry up and we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Hurry up and we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, chat about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1878. Since Guard Lin wants to eat, it means that he thinks highly of me. Since I have nothing to do in the afternoon, I'll make some braised food. When it's done, I'll send it over to Guard Lin. No need. Miss Guo, just stand in the courtyard and call for me. I'll come and get it myself. With that, Lin Yan took out the silver and put it aside. Miss Guo, please don't refuse the silver. I have a big appetite. Your braised food is too delicious, so I'll have to trouble you in the future. You deserve the silver. If Master finds out that I took advantage of you, he'll chase me away. If Master found out that he took the braised food back without paying, he would definitely beat him to death. It was clearly Master who wanted to eat, but Master told him that he wanted to eat. But this was much better than being chased back to the capital. Therefore, he would take the blame for his master. Of course, Tang Hua did not expose him and took the silver. That young man was too greedy, but he insisted that his poor subordinate take the blame for being a glutton. If he wanted to eat, he could just tell her and smile nicely. Would she not give it to him? System, be a good boy. You have food to eat every day. There's no need to beat around the bush. When the host pampers someone, she has no principles. As expected, Tang Hua made a lot. In addition, her eldest brother and second brother had not returned for a long time, so they did not get to eat the braised food she made. She planned to ask Tang Jindo to get a basin for the extra food. She would wrap it with a few layers of lotus leaves and place it in the basin at the spring behind the village. The water there was cold and could ensure that the food would not spoil. The next day, Tang Jindo would be able to bring it to her eldest brother and second brother. After it was done, Tang Hua stood in the courtyard and called for Lin Yan. After a while, Lin Yan came back with the braised food with a sullen face. "Master, the braised food is back. Bring it up quickly." Lin Yan accepted his fate and placed all the braised food on the table. Compared to the first braised food, there was more variety this time. There were several types of meat. Gu Juicy only took a few glances and could feel her saliva gushing out of her mouth. He waved his hand. "Well done. You can leave first. I'm going to have my meal." A bitter look appeared on Lin Yan's cold face. Gu Juicy sensed it and raised her head to look at Lin Yan. Then, she looked at the braised food on the table. On one side was a rare delicacy, and he didn't know when he would be able to eat it again. On the other side were his subordinates who had followed him for many years. Both were flesh and blood. It was really hard to choose. P.S. Book friends, I am the author Du Liao. I recommend a free book that supports downloading, listening to books, zero advertisements, and multiple reading modes. Please follow the WeChat public account on the top right corner of WeChat. Add a friend, choose a public account, enter a book friend, quickly follow. Suddenly, Gu Juicy glanced at a plate of unpeeled braised eggs. She had an idea. She took 2 braised eggs and placed them on an empty plate. She said to Lin Yin, "You can eat this. You and the butler can have one each." Then, she felt that Lin Yan's gaze didn't change much. She took out a gold ingot from her sleeve and threw it to Lin Yan. "I'll give you half a day off. Go to the city and buy food. Don't stare at the food on the young master's table all day." Lin Yan silently held the gold ingot in his hand. He really hated that the young master was so generous. Holding the 2 braised eggs, he walked out with heavy steps and smelled the fragrance of the braised food. Lin Yan walked out of the door and hid the 2 braised eggs. Anyway, the butler didn't see it. The butler knew that the young master was very protective of his food. But when he turned the corner, he saw the butler stroking his beard and smiling. He subconsciously gave the gold ingot to the butler. "Butler, the young master is giving you a day off. Go to the city and buy food." "Lin Yan, give me my share." Lin Yan said, "No, I really don't." Quick, female supporting character, calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Quick, female supporting character, calm down. Look, talk about life, find friends. Chapter 1879. Butler, it's not like you don't know how protective the master is of his food. How could he share such delicious food with me? Every time, he throws money to us. Looking at the smiling butler, Lin Yin tried to explain and plan to eat the 2 delicious braised eggs. The butler wasn't fooled and narrowed his eyes. "Such a strong smell, Lin Yin. When did you learn to lie?" "Butler, the smell should be coming from the master's room." Lin Yin didn't give up and tried to cover up the truth again. If he could eat 2 braised eggs, he must eat them alone. Sharing? He didn't understand what sharing was. It's all exposed. Where? Lin Yin subconsciously lowered his head and heard the butler's voice. "Hand it over. You're confessing without being pressed. Lin Yin, your brain is still not good." Lin Yin was helpless and very reluctantly took out a braised egg and gave it to the butler. "How did you know I hid something? If the master didn't give you food, you would definitely walk out expressionlessly and coldly give me the gold to buy food. But this time, although your face was still cold, there was a hint of anxiety on your cold face and some expectation in your eyes. Also, Lin Yin, you've been practicing martial arts since you were young, and your steps are basically the same, steady and powerful. But just now, your steps were already messy, and when you gave me the gold, you were also a little anxious." Lin Yan's cold face showed some shock. He looked at the old butler who was eating the braised egg with narrowed eyes. In such a short time, he exposed so many flaws? "It's really delicious." The butler had already finished eating the braised egg and looked at Lin Yan with a smile, scaring him into running away. The butler's voice reached his ears. "Lin Yan, aren't you going to buy food in the city?" "No, butler, you go alone. I have to protect the master." The butler laughed and tossed the gold. Protect the master? He was obviously afraid that he would steal the food. This boy really doesn't know how to be filial to the elderly. Since Tang Chong exposed Su Machen's existence to the people in the village, he was annoyed. Later, out of helplessness, he changed his name to a businessman called Chen Imo and got injured because he was robbed on the way. Basically, he didn't go out much. Because so many people in the village knew of his existence, he changed his name again. A few days later, his subordinates contacted him because he was seriously injured and couldn't do anything for the time being. The village was relatively peaceful. In order not to expose himself, he had arranged for his subordinates to go to another remote place to create the illusion of him escaping. The days here was indeed relatively peaceful. Moreover, after hearing his subordinates' report, his subordinates didn't suspect and sent people to follow the fake route he ordered. He planned to hide in the village Tang Yinz's Tang was a businessman. Tang Tang Chong was Chang's Chong of Stas. Est. After some probing, he discovered that Tang Indo was indeed somewhat intelligent, and he was also someone who knew how to recognize talent. As long as someone was smart, capable, and had a clean background, the other party was willing to recruit them. Teet Teet S Tang Assest S Teet Estesen. Quick, female supporting role. Calm down, want to talk with like-minded people. Quick, female supporting role. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find friends. Chapter 1880. He could sit here and grasp the situation outside. His opponents and enemies had no way of knowing of his existence. Yes, a while ago, he already knew that his mother and sister had been harmed. At this time, he had to lie low and wait for his body to recover. He would work while collecting evidence and kill those who harmed his Ho-Fu as soon as possible. On this day, there was one thing that troubled Su Machin. The little village girl who saved him, Tang Chong, had a lot of strange things about her. For example, the poem written on the rice paper on the table. He originally suspected that Tang Chong was related to the previous dynasty. It had been 200 years since the previous dynasty, and the remnants had probably died long ago. Even if they didn't die, they probably knew that the situation was over and changed their names to live a normal life. Based on his observation of Tang Chong, she didn't seem like someone who wrote this kind of poem. In addition to this poem, there were many other words that were particularly profound. Listening carefully, it didn't seem like Tang Chong's creation at all. He suspected that it was someone else, but in the end, he didn't find any evidence. Tang Chong would occasionally talk to herself, some words that he didn't understand. It was really hard to live without anything. She said that the washroom here was really too shabby and that she had to boil water to take a bath. It was too troublesome. She also said that it was really boring to not have a phone or a computer. It was also inconvenient to go out, and sitting in a carriage was really jolting her to death. So, what was it? It definitely wasn't fishing. Then what was a washroom? It shouldn't be a place to wash your hands. If the bath water wasn't heated, could it be that she could directly use cold water? What were phones and computers? Why was it boring to not have a phone? He could understand a little about transportation. It should be a tool to travel. After all, the other party mentioned a carriage. Was there a better tool to travel than a carriage that wasn't so jolting? Su Machin narrowed his eyes. If there was, he had to find a way to get it from Tang Chong. Right now, he didn't know what secrets the other party had, so he didn't dare to act rashly. When he had the chance, he had to know everything that Tang Chong knew. Of course, he could also feel that Tang Chong was like many women who were infatuated with him, revealing an infatuated gaze. It was a little different from those women in the past. In the past, even if those women were infatuated with him, they were reserved and shy when they looked at him, not daring to look at him. As for Tang Chong, her straightforward gaze made him a little shy. She didn't try to hide it at all. Her two big, bright eyes were filled with him. She did things in a carefree manner. Whenever there was something good, she was not shy at all and would directly give it to him. It was his first time encountering such a straightforward behavior from Tang Chong. Since she was so infatuated with him, he had already decided to leave the village and find a way to make Tang Chong leave with him willingly. When the time came for him to leave his hometown, he could always find a chance to dig out the secrets in Tang Chong's mind. Tang Chong didn't know any of this. She only felt that Su Machin seemed to be getting closer and closer to her, which made her very happy. Therefore, she showed the treasure she had just bought to Su Machin. This is embroidered by Sister Guo. Isn't it nice? Su Machin glanced at it, paused, and said sincerely, "It does look good." Even with his picky eyes, he really couldn't find any fault with this embroidered handkerchief. Put it on. Calm down. I want to chat with more like-minded people. Hurry up and change into a female supporting character. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1881. If this exquisite handkerchief was in the capital, it would definitely be loved by many noble ladies. If his mother and sister were still alive, he would definitely think of a way to buy 2 handkerchiefs from this village girl with exquisite embroidery skills and give it to them. Now that he was gone, what was the use of these things? If you think it's beautiful, then it must be really beautiful. Don't forget to spend a lot of money to buy it. Tang Chong carefully closed the box. Such a beautiful and expensive thing. I plan to keep it. If she wanted to use it, she should use the ones her father bought. They were cheap and easy to use. If she didn't like it, she could just throw it away. If I get married in the future, I must ask Sister Gua to embroider a wedding handkerchief for me, no matter how much it costs. Tang Chong's cheeks were still a little red when she thought of this. If that was the case, she would have to work hard to save money. This situation made her think of the scene where she saved up all the pocket money her parents gave her in order to buy a Lolita dress. Thinking about it, she was still a little excited. Even if she transmigrated into a book, she couldn't change her habit of collecting beautiful things. Ever since she had this handkerchief, she had already forgotten what a Lolita dress looked like. In order to understand Tang Chong better, Su Machin would take her away when the time came. Tang Chong would bring him around the village, and he wouldn't object. This time, Tang Bai was extremely anxious. Seeing the two being so intimate every day, her heart was anxious and she didn't know what to do. She was in no position to ask Tang Chong to leave Su Machin. Without seeing Su Machin's cruelty, who would believe that such a dignified and noble young man was a cold and heartless person who didn't recognize his own family? Tang Chong even brought Su Machin to Tangwa's house to watch her embroidery. Tangwa didn't mind. It was a good opportunity to see what kind of trash Su Machin was. System: harmful trash, recommended to be dealt with early. Sister Guo, your embroidery is so good. Your hands are so skillful and beautiful. Tang Chong praised Tangwa seriously. She didn't have any other thoughts at all. Alas, I'm too poor. When I save enough money, I can choose the color and let you embroider the handkerchief for me. Tangwa looked up and smiled. As long as you give me enough money, that's really great. In the future, Sister Gua's things will definitely be harder to get. Tang Chong thought, aren't the works of those design masters like this? In the future, Tangwa's embroidery would be known by the whole world. Even an ordinary embroidered handkerchief was hard to find and could be sold at a sky-high price. Now, she could buy one for 500 taels. In the future, she might not even be able to buy one for 5,000 taels. What did it mean to have a price but no supply? This was what it meant to have a price but no supply. Bai's embroidery is also beautiful. Tang Chong ran in front of Tang Bai, and Su Machin naturally followed. The closer he got to Tang Bai, the more Tang Bai's heart jumped. Tangwa put down what she was doing and chose to sit beside Tang Bai. Only then did she settle down. Bai, your embroidery is getting better and better. Why are you so good? Everyone has the same surname. Why is there such a big difference? Tang Chong was a little upset. Why was it that when she was living in this body, other than eating, being pretty, spending money, and needlework, she really didn't know how to do anything else? This kind of woman, could she even survive in the ancient times? Oh, her father was rich, so it was easy to find a husband. Tang Chong kept her head down and embroidered silently. Her hand trembled, and she accidentally embroidered a wrong stitch because Su Machin was here. Quickly put on the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Quickly put on the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1882. Actually, this needle doesn't need to be changed, Tangwa said, directly diverting Tang Bai's attention. She then focused on Tangwa, trying to figure out how to fix her mistakes. Of course, compared to the original flower, it was a little different. It was more special and beautiful. Tang Bai was completely immersed in it, forgetting Su Machin's existence. Su Machin was actually impatient, watching the two village girls trying to figure out how to embroider. Even if Tangwa's appearance was outstanding, it didn't attract his attention. Right now, his heart was filled with hatred. How could he be captivated by a strange, beautiful village girl? He came here just to impress Tang Chong. When he was ready to leave, he could take her with him and find a way to get her secrets. But he pretended to be good, with a smile on his lips. Anyone who saw him would think that he was an elegant young master and would have a better impression of him. Tang Chong looked at the formation of these exquisite embroidery patterns and couldn't take her eyes off them. She had always hoped for something as exquisite as this. Even if she had to give up all her money and not buy snacks to eat, she would still buy these things. And when she bought them, she would carefully store and protect them. The craziest things she did were two things. First, she saved money to buy her favorite Lolita products. Second, she gave all her thoughts to the male lead she liked. The male god she recognized. No matter what his flaws were, she could find thousands of reasons to get him off the hook. It was a special double standard. She could even argue with the opposite party for half a day for the paper man. In the next few days, other than spending time with Sumachin, Tang Chong came to watch Tang Gui embroider a handkerchief. From the beginning to the end, she tried her best to flatter Tang Gui, praising her to the point that no one in the world could compare. The system couldn't stand it anymore. Was it necessary? Tang Bai finally found a chance to talk to Tang Chong without Sumachin. Sister Chiang, when will that young Master Su leave our village? Tang Chong was interrupted and flattered Tang Gui, but she wasn't angry at all. She turned to Tang Bai and said, I don't know yet. Brother Su's injuries are more serious, and he needs to recuperate. The long journey isn't good for his body. It would be best if Tang Bai wasn't well. It would be best if she died of illness. Oh, is that so? Sister Chiang, aren't you a little too close with young Master Su? This isn't good for your reputation. Tang Chong didn't care. Big Brother Su and I are innocent. We don't need to care about what others think. We'll walk our own path and let others say whatever they want. Tang Bai was helpless. Sister Chiang, I think you're interested in young Master Su. You can tell? Tang Chong smiled and said, Yes, young Master Su is good-looking, humble, and polite. Who wouldn't like him? Don't you like it? Tang Bai hurriedly shook her head. I don't like him at all. A person like him is too noble. I can't match him. She was sorry, but she couldn't bear such an outcome. Tang Gui, who was sitting at the side, was dying of laughter. She could not help but interject, Chiang, do you know where young Master Su is from? Do you know who else is in his family? If you really like him, you have to think about it. Don't hurt yourself in the end. Tang Chong thought to herself, of course she understood. She did not know how many times she had flipped through that book. She could even recite Su Machin's 10 generations of ancestors. Tang Chong also understood what Tang Gui and Tang Bai were thinking. Women from ancient times were definitely more conservative. Female supporting lead, calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Female supporting lead, calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1883. If it wasn't for the fact that Tang Bai's family was gone, she probably wouldn't have left with Su Machin. Because of the content of the book, she hated Tang Bai a little. But after interacting with her for a while, she didn't hate Tang Bai anymore. This girl was weak and small, but she was quite lovable. In the future, she wouldn't complain about this female lead. Now that she took Su Machin away, the days of Tang Jindo's family being exterminated were over. They probably wouldn't be exterminated. She exposed Su Machin's identity, forcing him to change his name and hide his identity. There shouldn't be any danger in the village. That was all she could do. She was really trying her best to prevent her Adonis from becoming someone who hated her deeply. In the future, when her male idol left, he could take her with him and they could live happily ever after. Tang Gui and Tang Bai, in this village, can live a prosperous life. It's really the best of both worlds. Sister Guo, you don't have to worry about this. I know Brother Su. He's a good person. She believed that the person who was loved by Su Machin would definitely live well. She was lucky enough to come here. If she didn't flirt with her male idol, wouldn't she have come for nothing? Tang Gui smiled and said, Think about your own path. There will be many unpredictable things in the future. Some things might be too late to regret after they happen. She didn't care what Tang Chong chose. Tang Chong knew what kind of person Su Machin was. Speaking of this, Tang Chong wasn't a bad person. She had indirectly dealt with a lot of trouble and took Su Machin away. Unfortunately, Sumachin was harmful trash and couldn't be recycled. Tang Bai was very worried. Sumachin was so bad. What if Tang Chong encountered the same thing in the future? Although the extermination didn't happen, she was still worried. This strange soul didn't look bad, but the infatuation in her eyes towards Sumachin was so similar to her in the past. Sister Chong Chong, don't be impulsive. Some people look good on the surface, but you won't know what kind of things they are until the end. Tang Bai unknowingly said too much and quickly tried to salvage the situation. The last time I went to the city, I heard the book said a lot of such people. Tang Chong didn't have any suspicions at all. The only thing she was suspicious of was that although Tang Bai's face was exquisite, her skin was like a little black girl's. Was she really the peerless beauty that was boasted in the novels? And it was getting darker and darker. Sumachin still couldn't bear to part with Tang Bai at this time. The other party's taste was so strange. "Abai, you look so tanned," Tang Chong said seriously. "You're only a little younger than me, and you're still so tanned. How are you going to choose a husband in the future? When you have time, you should take care of your skin and use some skincare balm." "I'm still young." Chapter 1884. Tangwa smiled. "Don't you think that Abai's personality is a little jumpy?" It seemed that she was not so afraid of Sumachin anymore. Perhaps it was because Sumachin did not notice her at all. "When I earn more money, I'll hire a few teachers for Abai and trick her into giving up everything she knows." The system shuddered. "Host, you won't even let off your own sister? That's what she wants too." The system said it as a matter of fact. "Let's hire another martial artist to teach her martial arts. This enemy still needs to be beaten up by her own hands to resolve the knot in her heart. When she has enough strength and realizes that Sumachin can't do anything to her, she can slap Sumachin casually. Only then will her panicked heart be able to calm down." Was the system like the host? It worked hard to learn all kinds of skills and rarely used the things in the system space. Only then would it slowly choose to fight against its original fate. Because she knew everything, she was not afraid of losing her worldly possessions. She did not rely on these things, so naturally she was not afraid of losing them. She was not afraid that he would disappear one day. She was also not afraid that the person who transmigrated with her would not follow her one day. When she got it, she was already prepared to lose all these things one day. Thinking about it, she felt a little sad. But he dared to guarantee that unless there was an irresistible factor or a strong force to strip him away, he would never leave his host. He did not blame her at all. She was prepared for this. Tangwa put the square embroidered handkerchief into a brocade box and said to Tang Bai, "I'll send these handkerchiefs to the 9th young master. Let's see what happens in the capital." Tang Bai was full of confidence. There will definitely be many noble ladies and madams who will like it. In her previous life, these things that were slightly better and of higher quality were crazily fought over. The price was also very expensive. With the help of the 9th young master, the price would definitely be higher. She was already looking forward to the future when their family Tang village could make ready-made clothes from silk and sell them in the capital. What would that be like? Her sister was indeed her sister. She was really looking forward to becoming a millionaire. Gu Jusi looked at the embroidered handkerchief in front of her. Her eyes never left it. It was too exquisite. The birds and flowers were so lifelike. When she moved the handkerchief, they seemed to move as well. He looked down at her. "9th young master, how are these finished products?" Tangwa asked with a smile. Gu Jusi nodded and praised. "Good. I've never seen such a good embroidered handkerchief." "Then I'll leave it to you, 9th young master. We're partners. What's there to ask?" Gu Jusi did not like to be so polite. "Miss Guo, just wait for Lin Yin to bring back good news. Then I'll take advantage of 9th young master's auspicious words." "Right. 9th young master, our mulberry trees are growing very well. In a few more months, we'll be able to slowly let the villagers start rearing silkworms and weaving cloth. There is one more thing that only the 9th young master can do." Gu Jusi perked up. "What is it? Was he finally able to use him?" "I need a few outstanding embroiderers to sign a contract with me for more than 20 years. The wages won't be bad. With ninth young master's ability, it shouldn't be difficult, right? No problem. Gujusi did not know why, but he was very happy to be able to help Tangwa. After Tangwa left, he was still admiring the embroidered handkerchief in front of him. This young lady was really amazing. She was good-looking, skillful, and good at cooking. He wondered when he would be able to eat braised food again. He hoped that she would be satisfied with the embroidered handkerchief and make some braised food to reward him. Lin Yin walked in and looked at Gu Jusi. He said coldly, "Master, do we need to report Sumachen's matter?" "You can tell second brother. Let them fight. Second brother doesn't want to care about this at all." Gu Jusi said without looking up. "Oh right. Send these 3 embroidered handkerchiefs to the capital. These are the finished products that Miss Guo painstakingly embroidered. Help me promote it well, and let those women know that this is a masterpiece that can't be bought with money. The more expensive, the better. If you do well, I'll give you an extra braised egg next time." "Master, this subordinate will definitely do it well." Lin Yin was puzzled. "Master, isn't there a 4-way embroidered handkerchief here? Why are you only bringing these 3 handkerchiefs back?" Gu Jusi put one handkerchief into a box. "I'll take this handkerchief. I'll give it to someone when the time comes." This subordinate understands. Lin Yin was puzzled. Did young master have a girl he liked? Would young master like a girl too? Didn't they say that women were troublemakers? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1885. About 20 days later, Lin Yin returned with a piece of good news. Gu Jusi quickly asked the butler to invite Tanghua to his house. Tang Bai naturally went to listen to such a big news. "Miss Guo, what do you think the result will be?" Gu Jusi asked Tanghua with a smile. Tanghua also replied with a smile. "Young Master Jiu is smiling. It must be good news. Miss Guo is really smart." Tang Bai could see that young Master Jiu was smiling. If it was not good news, would he smile? Tang Bai was right. Gu Jusi was good-looking because her elder sister liked good-looking people. Young Master Jia's identity was mysterious. She was afraid that he would seduce her elder sister with his looks. Otherwise, she would not have come to listen to the news. "Miss Guo, one of your embroidered handkerchiefs was chosen by the Empress by luck." Coincidentally, when the Empress held a tea party, she invited countless noble ladies. When they saw Miss Guo's embroidery, they boldly asked the Empress about it. The Empress said that the princess happened to come across it when she was playing in the city and bought it for her. Since that day, all the noble ladies and ladies in the capital sent people to find the source of this embroidered handkerchief. After waiting for 2 or 3 days, Lin Yin sent the 2 embroidered handkerchiefs to the auction house. Gu Jusi smiled. Needless to say, it must have been sold at a good price. Even the Empress was using this embroidered handkerchief. No matter how much money it cost, it had to be bought back. Lin Yin took out the banknotes he got from the auction and placed them in front of Gu Jusi. Master was really wasting his talent. He used all kinds of connections for this family Tang village business. Did he have to? He did not understand. What was worse was that Master even asked him to put the price of one embroidered handkerchief into the banknotes. He did not know who he gave the one he kept to himself. "Miss Guo, this is the money we earned." Gu Jusi pushed the banknotes in front of Tanghua. "Now, with the money, Miss Guo can do whatever you want to do, right?" To become a rich person, it was impossible for Tanghua to embroider every embroidered handkerchief. No matter how skilled she could only embroider a few squares in a month. Moreover, the rarer something was, the more valuable it was. If she embroidered too many finished products, the value would not be so high. Their plans were the same. When Tangua's reputation became famous, they would establish an embroidery shop and use her reputation to make a name for themselves. As long as the design was beautiful and the embroidered handkerchief was exquisite, there was still an endless stream of people buying it. Even in the capital, not everyone was willing to spend such a high price to buy such a top-notch product. In that case, the kind for daily use would be very popular. Ordinary people would buy from 10 to 50 taels. Those with higher status would buy from 50 to 200 taels. Those with more distinguished status would occasionally buy from 200 to 500 taels. That was enough. As for the finished product embroidered by Tangwa, he believed that it could be used as a treasure. She wouldn't make a move unless it was someone with a very high status who came to her door to buy it. Otherwise, no amount of money would be able to buy it. The harder it was to obtain, the more people wanted it, even if it wasn't made by her. Gu Jusi thought so, and so did Tangwa. Young Master Gio, just wait for the year-end bonus. Tangwa looked up with a smile. I won't let you suffer a loss. Gu Jusi smiled and replied, Miss Guo is very smart. I believe in you. Actually, it did not matter if he suffered a loss. He had a lot of money. Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1886. Seeing how happy Tangwa was, Gu Jusi was happy too. Thinking of the embroidered handkerchief he had secretly hidden, he still did not understand why he had secretly hidden it. Perhaps it was because the embroidered handkerchief was too beautiful and he wanted to keep one for himself. Ninth young master, did you help me find an embroiderer? Gu Jusi looked at Lin Yan, as if to ask if he had done a good job. Lin Yan's scalp went numb, and he hurriedly said, Master, I rushed back. The embroiderers' bodies can't withstand the wind and the wind every day, so they took the carriage. They should be able to arrive in a few days. Well done. Gu Jusi did not look at Lin Yan anymore. Instead, he looked directly at Tangwa. He was thinking that he had already instructed Lin Yan to do a perfect job. Did Miss Guo not intend to make some delicious braised food to thank him? Actually, he did not care about the year-end bonus at all. She often ordered braised food for him to eat. Anything was fine. Ever since he ate the braised food she made, he missed it every day. Everything he ate was tasteless. Miss Guo, there's something I want to tell you. I'm sorry. Gu Jusi found an excuse to eat braised food. When I arranged for Lin Yan to go back, I told him that as long as he did a good job, I would ask Miss Guo for some braised food for him. The system laughed. He was the one who wanted to eat. Tangwa thought it was something serious. Why was he beating around the bush? Lin Yan's icy expression was on the verge of collapsing. What did he mean by asking Miss Guo for some braised food because she promised him? Master, can you speak with your conscience? Gu Jusi smiled and looked at Lin Yan, who was full of complaints. When you left, I promised to give you some. Even if I don't care about my face, I still have to fulfill my promise. Master Lin Yan was really shameless. Gu Jusi looked at Tangwa again. Miss Guo, is it inconvenient? I'll give you money. I won't let you lose out. Ninth young master, you must be joking. You're treating me like an outsider when it comes to money. Previously, I promised to make some braised dishes to thank ninth young master and guard Lin after the matter is settled. Tangwa had long known that Gu Jusi was a glutton and was protective of her food. Every time the braised food was sent to him, it would probably end up in his mouth. Looking at Lin Yan's unwillingness, accusation, and finally surrender expression, she was amused. This guy was really a little cute. For the sake of food, he really did not care about anything else. He even cheated his own people. That day, Tangwa put down everything in her hands and went to the city with Tangbai to buy a lot of ingredients. He had bought everything he could. Now that the weather was gradually turning cold, the food would not go bad even if it was left for a day or two. It was fine to make more. In the evening, Gu Jusi watched as Lin Yan and the butler brought the soup to her and measured it with a basin. She immediately beamed with joy. Please thank Miss Guo for me. Gu Jusi took a drumstick and gnawed on it. She did not know how he did it, but he looked so elegant as he gnawed on the drumstick. Lin Yan swallowed his saliva and said, Master, this subordinate has already thanked her 3 times. Master, this thing will spoil after a day or two at most. This time, there are 3 basins. It's better to finish them as soon as possible. The butler suggested with a smile. In fact, this thing will only taste good today. Tomorrow, it might not be as good. The day after tomorrow, it might not be as good. Quick female supporting character, calm down. Want to chat with like-minded people? Quick female supporting character, calm down. Look, chat about life, find friends. Chapter 1887. Gu Juicy raised his head and glanced at the two of them. Then, he looked at the braised food in the basin and fell into a dilemma. The butler was right, but he still felt a little heartache when he gave them so much at once. Gu Juicy did not say anything and took 2 more bites. In the end, he really could not stand the two of them. He also knew his appetite. He could not finish 3 basins of braised food in 1 or 2 days. He looked at the 3 basins for a while, as if he was making a decision. Although Lin Yan's face was cold, he was so nervous that his whole body was tense. Although his master was a little protective of his food, it was obvious that he could not finish it in 2 days. He could not really only give him 2 braised eggs, right? Although the butler was smiling, his hands hidden in his sleeves were clenched. His little master, there were 3 basins of braised food. What was he hesitating about? His master was good at everything, but he was too protective of his food. He did not seem to be interested in things like gold and silver, and casually threw them to them. Just this kind of food was a precious treasure. In the end, Gu Juicy gritted his teeth and gave one of the basins, which did not look so good, to Lin Yan and the butler. Go away and eat. Don't be an eyesore to your young master. Lin Yan and the butler ran out ecstatically. A few days later, 2 plain-colored carriages came to the village. The coachman was a burly man. The people who came out of the carriages were all women between the ages of 20 and 30. After Tangwa introduced them, the villagers found out that these women were embroiderers she had hired from outside. Before this, Tang Jindo had already built a house with his 2 sons. This house was built according to Tangwa's idea and was divided into several parts. There was a silkworm room, a dye workshop, an embroidery room, a house for the embroiderers, a kitchen, and other necessary places. From the outside, it did not look like a carved railing or jade building, but it was very spacious inside. There was also a high wall outside to prevent people from casually looking inside. The mulberry trees had gradually grown, and there were embroiderers. The villagers knew that Tangwa's embroidered handkerchief had been auctioned at a sky-high price. They had a lot of hope for this newly established embroidery shop. Because Tangwa gave the villagers enough money to not let them suffer losses, everyone was willing to work for her. They helped the mulberry trees weeding, raised silkworms, cooked for the embroiderers in the embroidery shop, and so on. The villagers happily did things like that. Most of them were illiterate, and it was a pity that they did not go out with Tang Indo. It could be said that the embroidery shop was not only good for this place, but also for the whole county. The county magistrate even came to visit because of this matter. In the end, Tangwa asked the county magistrate to hire a lot of guards to guard the embroidery shop. Naturally, he would give the county magistrate some benefits. This county magistrate was a good person. Seeing that Tangwa didn't cause any trouble and was seriously opening the embroidery shop, he also heard that Tangwa's embroidered handkerchiefs were famous in the imperial city, so he attached great importance to it and was eager to develop it. The county magistrate's wife also begged him for an embroidered handkerchief. The county magistrate could only thicken his skin and look for Tang Jindo. Tangwa would certainly be satisfied with this kind of small thing. She embroidered 1 handkerchief herself and asked Tang Bai to embroider several handkerchiefs. The handkerchiefs she embroidered were for the county magistrate's wife, and the handkerchiefs Tang Bai embroidered were for the county magistrate's wife to give away. It was really a waste if she did not use this free advertisement. Sure enough, the county magistrate's wife was very happy to get the handkerchief. Hurry up and wear the supporting female character. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Hurry up and wear the supporting female character. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1888. The county magistrate's wife saw that Tangwa had sent a lot of handkerchiefs. She heard that they were embroidered by Tangwa's sister, Tang Bai. Although they looked slightly inferior, they were still treasures that were hard to find outside. She hurriedly took them out and gave them to the wives of officials that she had a good relationship with. In less than 2 days, the door of the embroidery shop had been trampled to the ground. Countless orders could not be received. Now, the wives and daughters of the officials in the county were all talking about Tang Embroidery Shop. They heard that Tang Embroidery Shop did not make cheap handkerchiefs. They did not make handkerchiefs that cost dozens or hundreds of copper coins. The materials used by Tang Embroidery Shop to make handkerchiefs were all silkworms that they raised and embroidered with silk. The sellers would sell the handkerchiefs for at least 20 taels. They did not think that it was expensive at all. Which woman did not love silk? However, a dress made of silk would cost dozens of taels. If the workmanship was exquisite and the embroidery was included, it would cost hundreds of taels. Even for the wives and daughters of the officials, it was already very extravagant to have a dress made of silk. If they could not wear a silk dress, they must have an embroidered handkerchief. At the corner of the embroidered handkerchief, there was a small Tang symbol. This was their capital to show off. Tang Indo could not sit still anymore. He wanted to talk to Tang Jindo first. Tang Jindo raised his pipe and said, "These are all done by Guo. The person she is working with is still the 9th young master. You should talk to Guo about this. That girl is very capable. I don't know much about these things." Tang Jindo was speaking the truth. He had expected Tang Yin to come to him. "Okay, I'll talk to Guo." Tang Indo smiled. "Big brother, Guo is really amazing. If only she was my daughter, how good would that be?" His business acumen was amazing. How could such a smart girl not be his daughter? Tang Indo felt a little regretful. Although his Changchang was smart, she was not as good as Guo when it came to business. Look at this girl. She was usually quiet, but when she did something, she was so aggressive. How long had it been? He had only been out for a few months. The family Tang village had changed too much. Tang Guo wasn't surprised that Tang Indo found her. Tang Guo wasn't surprised at all. "Second uncle, although we're all family, even blood brothers have to settle accounts clearly. However, whatever goods you want, I can give you priority." Tang Indo was overjoyed when he heard this. "Guo is really capable." "I think so too. Don't worry. After all, we're a family. Second uncle won't interfere in this county. Second uncle will sell these toys elsewhere." Tang Guo was amused. "Second uncle, you can sell it anywhere. No matter what price you sell it at, people will buy it. That's second uncle's ability." Tang Indo looked at Tang Guo and couldn't help but feel regret. How good would it be if she was his daughter? If the father and daughter worked together, they might even become the richest man in the world. In the end, Tang Indo and Tang Guo signed the contract and left with smiles on their faces. Su Machin naturally knew about such a big commotion. This time, Tang Guo really caught his eye. She caught his eye because the embroidery shop was very profitable. If he could take the embroidery shop for himself, he could use it as a backing. He could even set up a secret force here. Who would have thought of that? Su Machin's attitude changed. He often followed Tang Chong to Tang Guo's place. It was as if he was trying to attract Tang Guo's attention. However, Tang Guo couldn't see him at all. "Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant." Chapter 1889. "Young Master Chun, do you want to place an order with me?" Tang Guo finally noticed him. "You're late. This year's orders are almost finished. We only have so many embroiderers here. If we take more orders, I'm afraid we won't be able to handle it." Su Machin smiled. "Is that so? That's a pity." He was thinking, how could he take the embroidery house for himself? The embroidery house could develop to this extent in such a short period of time because of this village girl called Tang Guo. After his investigation, he found out that Tang Guo was in charge of the embroidery house. Most of the things had to go through him. Tang Bai saw Su Machin's thoughtful look and her legs trembled. She was too familiar with Su Machin's expression. He was definitely thinking of something bad. Now that he came here every day, it was most likely because he had designs on the embroidery house. What should she do? What could she do to stop Su Machin? The embroidery house was her sister's painstaking effort for almost a year. It could not be destroyed in Su Machen's hands. Also, it had been so long. Why hadn't Su Machen left? What was he doing in Family Tang Village? Tang Bai bit her lips tightly. If it wasn't for her tan skin, anyone would be able to tell that her face was already pale. Ah Bai. Tangwa noticed and called Tang Bai. She knew what Su Machen was thinking. It was nothing more than seeing that the embroidery house was making money. He wanted to get the embroidery house and make it a place for him to secretly build his power. Wishful thinking. If she didn't scare him, she really didn't know what she would believe. Tang Bai heard Tangwa call her and tried hard to maintain her expression. She pretended that she didn't know anything and tried hard to control her trembling body. Sister, why did you call me? I can't leave here. Help me ask young Master Ju to come over. Tang Bai didn't understand and frowned. Why would her sister ask young Master Ju to come over? But now she really wanted to go out of the embroidery house. She responded and quickly ran out. When Gu Jusi heard that Tangwa was looking for him, Tang Bai didn't say anything. He didn't refuse at all and immediately agreed to go. Tang Bai realized that Gu Jusi was painting. Perhaps because she had disturbed her, her painting was crooked. She was a little scared, but when she saw that Gu Jusi was not angry at all and even seemed to be very happy, she could not figure out what was going on. Lin Yin glanced at the blurred painting. He was getting more and more confused about his master's temperament. Didn't he hate it when people came to disturb his painting? Oh, right. Miss Guo is related to braised food. The last time he ate it, his body and mind felt so good. He wondered when he would be able to eat it again. He finally understood that for the sake of food, his master could disregard any principles. The system was such a naive young man. Lin Yin did not understand, but he still followed Gu Jusi to Tangwa's side. Having been in Family Tang Village for so long, Su Machen knew that the owner of the house next to the village chief's house was a rich young master. In order not to cause any trouble, he would definitely not pay them a visit. In fact, he would rarely show up. It was the same for Gu Jusi. At most, she would walk to the door, so the two of them had never met. On this side, Su Machen was still thinking about how to get hold of Tangwa's weakness and control her so that he could use her for his own purposes. Gu Jusi had already walked in slowly. Her voice could be heard from afar. Miss Guo, is there anything urgent that you're looking for me for? Su Machen felt that this voice was somewhat familiar, but he couldn't remember where. Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people. Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1890. Although it sounded a little familiar, Su Machen didn't think much of it. He had been in the Family Tang Village for almost a year. Perhaps he had heard her voice by chance, or perhaps there were two similar voices. He continued to stare at the embroidered handkerchief somewhere and fell into deep thought. He had already received news from the capital. Now, the embroidered handkerchiefs of the Tang embroidery shop were divided into many grades. The highest grade was a double-sided embroidered handkerchief. One side was marked as Tang, and the other side was marked as Guo. Such a mark represented the founder of the Tang embroidery shop. Now, Tangwa's embroidered handkerchiefs were priceless. There was a price but no market. In just a year, it had become to such an extent. He didn't expect it. In the future, even if Tangwa didn't spend a single needle or thread, she could sit and count money. Now that the Marquis's mansion was harmed, as soon as he appeared, he might be hunted down and framed. Back then, the shops on the surface had been closed down. There weren't many who had survived in the dark. What he wanted to do required a lot of money. If he had this embroidery shop, he could solve half of the problem. Miss Guo, why did you ask me to come? Gu Jusi had already entered the house. Could it be that you made something delicious? From the beginning, he was thin-skinned and embarrassed. Now, Gu Jusi's face had become much thicker. When he met Tangwa, he praised her skills, embroidery, and braised food. He even said that he missed her very much. For the sake of food, he really didn't care about his face. He didn't know if it was because of these words that Tangwa was happy with his praise. Gu Jusi could really coax a lot of braised food to eat. Not only braised food, but also all kinds of pastries. If it weren't for the difference between men and women, he really wanted to stay at the village head's house and not leave. Tang Bai looked at Gu Juxi's shameless appearance and was very angry. This young Master Ju was really becoming more and more unrestrained these days. He used to be such a noble young master, but now, in order to eat the food made by her sister, he was shameless and learned to talk nonsense. No matter what her sister did, he had to praise her. He knew that the system would collapse no matter how cold his character setting was. It was only a matter of time. In front of the host, this guy had no face. I was planning on making some food to reward young Master Ju. I couldn't leave, so I asked young Master Ju to come over and see what you wanted to eat. Tangwa raised her head and looked at Gu Juxi with a smile. A beautiful smile suddenly appeared in front of Gu Juxi's eyes. His mind was originally filled with food, but when he stared at that good-looking face, he couldn't take his eyes off it. For a moment, he thought that if he could wake up and see this face, he would give up a lot of delicious food. This thought only flashed through his mind for a moment. When he came back to his senses, his ears were still a little red. He coughed softly and said, "I love everything that Miss Guar makes." He tried his best to cover up his gaffe and looked elsewhere, just in time to see Su Machin staring somewhere with a calculating face. All the embarrassment was gone, and the smile on his face disappeared. Su Machin? Su Machin was suddenly stared at by a cold gaze. He looked up instinctively. When he saw Gu Juxi, he was so shocked that he almost took 2 steps back. He even wanted to kneel on the ground. When he saw the warning in Gu Juxi's eyes, his back was covered in cold sweat. He didn't dare to move. Gu Juxi glanced at him coldly, then turned to look at Tangwa. He bent down slightly with a smile on his face. They were very close to each other. "Miss Guar, what do you want to eat?" Gu Juxi smiled and said, "Yes? Then what do you want to eat?" Tangwa asked. Gu Juxi smiled. "I want to eat everything you make." "Miss Guar, can I?" "System?" Why is he suddenly so flirtatious? Su Machin naturally heard it. When he saw Gu Juxi looking at Tangwa so intently, all the bad ideas from before disappeared. While the two of them were chatting, he took the opportunity to say goodbye in a low voice. Gu Juxi ignored him. Tang Chong watched him leave and also left. Gu Juxi's smile deepened. "It's good that you know what's good for you. If you're not interested, don't blame me for being nosy." Therefore, Miss Guar must have guessed something and actually thought of pulling him over to hold the fort. "What a smart girl," he said softly. "Miss Guar, you have to make more food for me. I don't want anything, just food." Is the system acting coquettishly, or what? Gu Juxi, are you sure you don't want anything other than food? Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Quick, we're the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.